Customer service representative, Beverly Hansett Birch, is suing her ex-fiancé, 37-year-old maintenance supervisor Bruce Bartline, for an unpaid loan for attorney's fees.
Come to order. All rise. Yes, this is case number 443 on the calendar in the matter of Hansett Bush versus Bartline. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Ms. Birch, you and the defendant, according to your complaint, lived together for approximately 4 years?
That's correct.
And during that time, it is your claim that you loaned the defendant approximately $1,950 in order to pay an attorney for some sort of custody dispute with his ex-wife.
That's correct.
The defendant says that he paid back some of that money, approximately half of it, and that the rest should be your responsibility because each of you wanted the children, his children, together with you as a family, so that you should be responsible for half of the bill. Is that your defense, sir?
Not entirely, but yes.
In what month and year did you have to retain an attorney?
I actually don't know exactly what you're...
Miss Birch, when was it?
It was in November, right after Thanksgiving, and I'm not sure if it was 99 or 2000, because this attorney bill had been sitting there. It was a large bill. We kept getting phone calls. I go, look, why don't I just use my good credit, because he had already been bankrupt. We'll just pay it off this way and
Your
be
Honor,
done with it.
Shh, don't speak.
And
we'll just pay it off this way.
Pay it
yes.
off this way. I put it on a Discover card for 3.9% interest.
And what did he say?
He said, well, I can't believe you're going to do that and help me out. And I said, no, you know, we're living together. Let's just do this to get your finances in order, because we already had taken care of his bankruptcy and other
Ms.
bills.
Birch, so what you said to him was, let's just get this taken care of.
Get this taken care of. I'll loan you the money. Just take it.
Oh,
Let's
that's the
be
first time
done.
you said the word loan. You
And
never
when
said,
he moved
shh,
out...
Miss Birch, don't interrupt me. When did you discuss with him that it was a loan?
Right after we did the phone call, and then I was very nervous.
What phone call?
To the Discover card. I cooked it up that way. It was a brand new balance transfer. I called, go, can you do that on attorney bills?
Tell me when you discussed with him paying you back.
Oh, we discussed it right away. Are you going to take care of this? When he moved out, that was my first concern. Are you going to make good on this?
On what date did you do this? It's important. Was it 99 or 2000?
November 5th, 2000.
And he moved out when?
January 5th, 2001.
So immediately after you did this with the attorney's bills, practically immediately, he moved out.
That's correct.
So it was just 2 months later.
And we were dating each other for about 6 weeks, and then he was paying during that time, and then suddenly he stopped paying, probably after I married his best friend.
It's possible. Okay. That's
I married
possible.
him April 8th, and May was his last payment.
May I see the payments that he made,
You
please?
sure can. Here's where it was put on an attorney bill. Here's a photo of the attorney.
Listen.
And
I
here's
asked
the
you for one
200
thing.
payments.
Miss Birch, listen to me. I asked you for one thing. Don't give me a piece of the yellow pages. What I asked you for was a list of the payments that he made after he moved out.
They're highlighted on the top right here.
Let me see, please.
He would drop off a check, and then he mailed 2 of them. And I took them down to Sears, because Sears will take Discover card payments, and since I was paying the
4,
interest on it at
6,
that time,
8, 10. So he paid $1,000.
paid $1,200 payments.
So he owes you $950.
Correct.
Okay, now I'll hear you.
I dispute her statement that she says that her and I discussed it, and then she took action putting this on her card. I came home from work one day, and she had put it on her card. Okay?
You
and
were
I did
the
make
graduate
Listen, Miss Birch, do not speak. You had your turn. If I want an answer, I'll come back to you. Do you understand?
Correct, I do.
Good.
I did make payments. There's also a phone bill for $3.09, and I wanted to make good on that. I don't dispute
Good.
that.
I wasn't even paying attention to that. But that's nice.
The attorney fees were directly associated with Ms. Hansett Birch. She's alleged to have been abusive to my children. And
Were they living with the two of you at the time or just visiting?
yes, they were shared custody is what it was.
Was your former wife happy about that?
No,
So she made an allegation that Miss Birch was abusing your children.
not necessarily an unsubstantiated allegation, but an allegation, yes.
Did she lose the case?
Yes, she did.
Who has
But she
custody?
lost it on
Shh. Who has custody of your children?
shared custody.
So
She
you
has
still
primary.
have. So she has primary custody of the children. Was that the way it always was? She had primary and you had
yes,
shared,
yes.
so that the status quo remained.
Yes.
And she tried to have that amended in some way.
She tried to remove the children away from Beverly's residence on the allegation of abuse.
When was that, sir? When was that
I have
initiated?
When
was it initiated?
Shortly after Thanksgiving
Of what
2000
year?
Of 99.
So it was a long time before you finally separated.
Yes, considerably a long time.
And the matter had been ultimately resolved, of course, long before you separated.
Yes.
All I want you to do is talk to me about the discussion that you had, sir, with regard to the attorney bill.
Directly after I came home, she told me she put it on her Discover bill. We had discussed it before. I didn't say, yeah, do that, or we didn't make any kind of agreement. There's no shh.
What had you discussed before?
She discussed it as an option.
She doesn't have a discussion alone.
Right.
She
discussed it with
you.
me as an option to put it on her credit card.
And what did you say?
Well, then I didn't see any reason why I couldn't just continue making payments to the attorney as I was.
And how much were you paying the attorney?
As much as I could.
Much as I could is not an answer. So you were paying him in dribs and drabs.
I wasn't. I was paying him pretty quick. $4,000 is a lot of money.
All right. Now, I see that you made $1,000 worth of payments, sir, that stopped in June of 2001, right? Tell me why you stopped making the payments.
Well, one of the reasons why was I received a bill from Beverly. It was seeming kind of petty in some of the other small areas of dollars. And then it's like, well, why am I paying all this? If it was not for her, I probably wouldn't have even had to go to court in the first place.
That's what you said. Just a second. That's what you said to yourself.
Pretty
much,
you said,
yeah. Self, I said, if it wasn't for the fact that I was living with Beverly, I wouldn't have had this problem with my ex-wife in the first place, so she should really be responsible for half the bill. That's what you said to yourself.
No,
I just want to know. That's what you just told me.
I was talking to myself. I agree to that. But her actions helped initiate this case against me, therefore necessitating the need for an attorney. She would have, as a matter of court record, that children were removed from her house as a result of abuse.
Mr. Bartline, you know, if I had my children in somebody else's house and I believed that that other person abused them, I would take my children and flee. Your argument suggests to me, and the timing of this suggests to me, that there was an allegation by your ex-wife that you could not believe was true because you continued to live with the plaintiff, continued to live with her, with your children ultimately coming back to visit with you. How could you do that as a parent? How could you do that as a responsible parent?
I did not
Job speaking, Mr. Bartline, if you actually believed that the plaintiff did anything to harm your children. Think very carefully about how you answer that, Mr. Bartline.
Fiancé Bruce Bartline owes for an unpaid loan for attorney's fees. Bruce says Beverly is partly responsible for that bill.
Go ahead.
I did not make the allocation of abuse.
I understand that. You're not following what I'm saying, sir. What you suggested to me is it's her fault that you had to deal with this attorney anyway, because your suggestion is that she was, in fact, abusing your children in some way. And if a parent permits that to continue, they shouldn't have any sort of visitation with their children, past, present, or future. So this fantasy in your mind that she did, in fact, abuse your children, which resulted in all of your fears and woes and all of your attorney's bills, is a crock of crap. Because if it wasn't, then you're a bad father. You don't want me to think you're a bad father, do
Your
you?
Honor, I'm not a bad father.
Good.
And
Judgment
no,
for the plaintiff in the amount of $950. Pay her the rest of the money you owe her. That's all. Thank
Parties
you.
are excused. You may step out.
I didn't know when they got married or whatever.
I can't believe he didn't know that I had married his best friend.
I wish them the best of luck, okay?
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Anderson versus Magana. Step forward, please.
48-year-old salesperson Amy Anderson is suing her brother, 48-year-old postal worker Lee Magana, for the return of their late mother's belongings.
Mrs. Anderson, the defendant is your brother.
Yes, ma'am.
And according to your complaint, the defendant either stole, destroyed, gave away property that belonged to your mother.
Correct.
That was supposed to be shared with all the siblings after she passed away. So you're suing him.
Yes.
You lived with your mother for about 20 years.
Correct.
How old was she when she passed away?
75.
Had she been in good health?
Up until the last 3 years when she was diagnosed with cancer.
How many siblings do you have, sir?
7, 8 counting me.
And was your mother at home during the last 3 years of her illness?
Yes, she was.
Who took care of her?
I did. Me and my nephew, Lee Michael.
And what about the plaintiff? How often did she come and take care of your mother?
They would visit. They didn't take care
How
of her.
often?
She probably came about once, maybe twice a
Twice
week.
a month. because I live in Camarillo, and it was.
And how far a trip is it?
It's not far, but I'm a married woman. I go to work, come home, and I live with my husband's mother, who has Alzheimer's, and I also was taking care of her, which still am, and had a nurse there. So I was dealing
Your
with
mother-in-law?
my mother-in-law.
Miss Anderson, so it would be fair to say for the last 20 years, your brother lived in the house, which was your mother's house,
Correct.
with your mother.
Correct.
The last 3 of which she was terminally ill. Your brother lived with her.
Correct.
Fine. And when she passed away, according to your complaint, you and your siblings decided that the house should be sold.
Correct.
That was against my mom's wishes.
Just a second.
Okay.
Well, didn't you understand that this had been his home for 20 years?
It was all of our homes.
No, it wasn't. You just told me you live at home with your husband and his mother, who has Alzheimer's and an aide and a whole bunch of other people. It was his home. Didn't you, any of you feel badly about saying to him you have to move out of your home?
May I bring my
I'm not talking to you. Are you another sibling?
Yes, I am.
When I want you, I'll call you. Don't you feel badly about saying to your brother, you have to sell the house, we have to sell the house because you want to split the money?
No, because when we went in there right after my mother died, we all sat. My brother from New York came down, and we talked. The house is going to be sold, and he says, "Well, I need time to grieve." I said, "Well, fine, that's no problem." He lived there a year. We didn't kick him out right away. A year.
I didn't say kick him out right away. I was talking about kicking him out at all.
No, I didn't feel bad.
Well, you should have. You should have. It had been his home for 20 years.
Well,
And the last 3 of which, while all of you were taking care of your own lives, he was living there taking care of your mother.
we were taking care of my mother.
No, you weren't. You just told me you were there twice a month. What did you do for the rest of the time?
When she became very ill, me and my sister went and bathed her, took her, and everything at home.
At their home. You didn't say bring her to my home. You left her at home with your brother, who took care of her 24/7. You may have come by occasionally to take care of her, but it was his primary responsibility. So it would seem to me that instead of selling the house that he had lived in for 20 years, you would have said, thank you very much. We were all very busy, including my brother in New York, and we couldn't take care of Mommy. You did. You want to stay in the house, stay in it for as long as you like. But instead, you decided to sell it. So you and your siblings decided to take him to court, right?
Correct.
And you got a forced sell order. And now what you're suing him for is because you say when you went there after the house was sold, you went in and you found a lot of things missing.
He took everything in the house, gone. Everything he couldn't take, he destroyed. He destroyed my mother's whole backyard, her flower plants damaged, the stove damaged. He did cut wires. I have pictures and everything of this.
I'll take a look at the pictures.
And
I'll take a look at the pictures.
this is this damage he did.
Assuming he did this kind of damage to the house. Let's assume that that's correct. So what do you want?
I mean, I have this of all what I want.
Well, let me take a look at it
It's
now.
not much. And
Let me take a look
may
at
I
it.
also bring my
It's $5,000.
defendants up to here, my sister, my witness,
For what?
to speak? You know, I don't want the money. I just want the petty little. It was to remember my mother from my brothers and sisters.
You say you want the following thing. All of your mother's pots and pans and bakeware.
Yeah,
All a sewing machine and all sewing materials.
and that belonged to my sister.
Nothing belonged to your sister that's in the house. Did your mother die with or without a will?
Yes,
She had a will.
Was it probated?
No.
No.
Was not. Why not?
They were trying to force the sale of the house. I had
Let me
to
see the
split
will.
it up.
Just curious.
I've highlighted some of the things in mine also.
Let me just take a look at this. Well, the first thing that your mother says in her will is that she gives the house to you and to your brother, and if it's decided that it's to be sold, then all the children share in it.
Correct.
Well, he didn't want to sell it. So how did it come about that you had forced a sale? That was against your mother's wishes.
Majority vote.
That was against, just a second, that was against your mother's wishes. This says that your mother wanted you and your brother to have the house only if you all decided that you didn't want the house anymore, was it to be sold. So why did you go against your mother's wishes?
It also says that I think
They were on the deed, Your Honor. Can I explain how they were put on the deed? And they forced the sale on it because they were all put on the deed.
Is that what happened?
Yes.
When were they all put on the deed?
And my father passed away in 1982. After he passed away, my brother had an attorney friend, but had my mom sign a deed also, all into our children's name. We did not find out that the names were put on the deed till 1988, when my mom was in the hospital. We wanted to get a loan, and we couldn't get one
I see,
because all
because
the
this
names.
this will was executed in 1988. Now I understand how they did it. I got you.
May I, Your Honor, may I bring my sister up and speak with me also?
Sure.
Eyewitness?
Your Honor,
What?
my brother did not live with my mother the full 20 years. He got married, moved out of the house, and then when they decided that they couldn't pay their bills, they moved back with Mom. Lee has never paid my mom's bills. My mother paid her
That's
own.
I
not
didn't
true.
ask you. I
That's-
didn't ask him about
But
paying
let
bills.
me tell you, then
I didn't
he-
ask about paying bills.
But how can you? Anyway, Lee now has a relationship. During my mother's sickness, he had a relationship with his new girlfriend, and he would spend part of the time there. And as far as that
true, Your
deed being signed, that my mother asked my brother Ponto, that lives in New York, and myself to take her and have all our names put on the will. And I says, Mom, are you sure?
Listen to me, madam. If that was done in 1982, then there was something wrong with your mother in 1988, because in 1988, she treated this property as if it was hers in her will.
If you knew my mother, you'd know
I
that
don't have to know your mother. I'm
My
listening to
brother
your
wrote that
scenario.
will.
My brother
Listen
wrote
to
that
me.
will.
If your brother wrote this will, he would have left the house to himself. Instead, he left the house to you and him, to the two of you. If you are suggesting that he wanted to have a criminal intent to try to deprive you of property, he would have deeded the house just to himself
No, I
after your mother
understand that.
died.
He was.
So,
I
baloney.
understand that.
Baloney. Listen, I just looked at this will. It doesn't say that you're entitled to any of these things. I think that you people behaved very badly. How much did you sell it for?
We each got
205.
$205,000. So each one of you got how much?
23,000.
23?
So you're not talking about a change of lifestyle money.
No, no.
Well, if that's true, and if your brother wanted to live there, and he had lived there, let us say, during the past 3 years, and I don't know what kind of a good son he was or a bad son, but it would seem to me if you two ladies thought that your mother was being neglected by your brother, you would have taken your mother out of her house and brought her
No,
to
he
your
wasn't.
house.
I never said that.
Fine, so if he wasn't neglecting her, then he was taking care of her. And if he was taking care of her, all the siblings should have waited a little bit, especially since it was your mother's intention that he remain there for as long as he wanted to. You could have remained there for as long
He
as you
wouldn't let us
wanted
in.
to.
He wouldn't let us in.
You didn't want to live there.
No, I didn't, but I have
They have their own
You
lives.
didn't want to live there.
Correct.
You've got a
Correct.
husband and
Correct.
a mother-in-law that you take care of. You didn't want to live there. So because you didn't want to live there, you threw him out. As far as I'm concerned, that was the wrong thing to do. And if you're asking me then to invoke this court's equity power about seeing that you get some things that belong to your mother because everybody behaved right, I don't intend to do it. You sold the house, enjoy it. You got $23,000. That's all you're going to get. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
That's okay.
Judge Judy
I think it is all about money and stuff. If they wanted something, all they had to do was ask me.
He knows the truth, and he knows that what went on in there wasn't the truth.
What they did was wrong.
He took advantage of my mother. He not only robbed her monetarily, he robbed her soul.
My mom's wishes were never carried out.
I'd like my brother to grow up.
I tried my best to do what she wanted, but
Diane Newman is suing her daughter, Nicole Glad, and her son-in-law, Charles Glad, for property damage and for the return of personal belongings. The Glads are countersuing for unpaid rent and bills.
Order. All rise. Yes, this is case number 546 on the calendar in the matter of Newman versus Glad. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Mrs. Newman,
Yes, Your Honor.
the defendants are your daughter and son-in-law, is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
According to your complaint, there came a time when the three of you rented a home together.
Yes.
And something happened, and you claim that they locked you out of the house and then proceeded to either destroy or damage your property. The defendants say that they gave you plenty of time to get your stuff out of the house, and they have a counterclaim because they say that you owe some rent, some utility bills, and also that you took some property that belonged to your daughter. When did you lease this house together?
October 15th of 2001.
Why?
Well, Your Honor, they needed to move from where they were living. The house was being sold. They could no longer continue to live there. They went apartment hunting. They found this house to rent. Then they asked me to move in because the rent was $2,300 a month, which they could ill afford on their own.
Where were you living at the time?
I was living at my mother's house. I didn't need to move anywhere.
Never a good idea to move in with your children if you can avoid it.
I know that now.
But you agreed, and the three of you signed a lease?
No, they signed a lease. I was never aware that there was a lease, and I moved in there sight unseen.
Did you move in with furniture?
Yes, I did.
What furniture?
Bedroom set, wall unit dresser, the microwave, my kitchen table, kitchen chairs.
Okay. What happened?
I worked that day on a Tuesday, 3 to 11 shift. Nicole called my son, Jason Newman, to give Mommy the message that we've changed the locks on the house, all her furniture is in contractor bags at the curb, and remind her that tomorrow is Wednesday, garbage day.
Had you had a fight?
We had had problems prior to that, Your Honor. I have police reports. The first incident was February 10th. As the police report states, my mother came over, that was a Sunday morning. We were going to take their son, Neil, out to breakfast. At that time, Charles said, no, the baby wasn't going with us.
That's not true.
Just a minute. All right.
A verbal argument ensued between Charles and my mother, at which point I called the police when he laid his hands on her and he pushed her. She's 71 years old, and at that point, that's when I called 911.
Now, from February 10th to February 20th, were you living in the house?
Yes, I continued to stay at my mother's.
Okay. And on February 20th, you were advised that your furniture was outside.
Right. What I did take, Your Honor, I have pictures of the condition.
So it's mostly the clothing and your personalty that you're complaining about that was damaged, is that right?
Exactly, and the kitchen table.
Well, where is the kitchen table now?
I have it, but I have the difference between what
see.
it looked like before and what it looked like after. I have more pictures also, Your Honor. That's how they just threw the stuff, you know,
Okay,
all
let me see
over.
the rest. All right, who's going to speak for you?
I will.
I have a few questions for you.
Okay.
First of all, the lease to this house is in your name, is that correct?
Yes.
All right.
Mine and my husband's.
What date did you move out of the house?
February 10th.
Under what circumstances?
Basically what my mother told you, the whole thing about her and my grandmother wanted to take our son out. We used to go over to my in-laws every Sunday for dinner. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, my mother and grandmother decided that they were going to take my son shopping or wherever they decided. And I said, you know you're not going to do that. I said, you know that we go to the Glad's house every Sunday for dinner, and Charlie's not going to let you do that. They don't get along with my husband. They hate him, so they figured, well, we don't care about the Glads, so
Well,
we'll
why would you invite your mother to live with you if they hated each other?
They didn't before that. They didn't before we moved in. Everything was supposedly okay. I don't know.
Then everything was okay. So what happened between October and the beginning of February? That's not a long time.
A lot.
According to at least something that I surmised from these papers, you and your husband were not getting along.
Right. We were separated.
You were separated but
Yes.
living in the same
Yes.
house.
Different rooms, yeah.
And according at least to, I believe it was your mother in her complaint, she indicated that either one or both of you were dating other people. You were living sort of separate lives.
Yeah.
Is that right? Well, that's kind of outrageous to have brought your mother into that situation where she had to tolerate that.
It wasn't. We separated when we were in the house.
I
We were-
understand
Oh,
that.
okay.
So what? That's sort of unconscionable. You bring your mother into your house to share the rent. You and your husband aren't getting along. You separate. He's in his room. You're not talking to each other. You go out with guys. He
We
goes
were
out with
getting
girls.
along fine. It was mostly over
You-
money, and
You're not
was,
getting along fine if you're living two separate lives under one roof.
And Newman says her daughter, Nicole Glad, and her son-in-law, Charles Glad, are responsible for damaging her property. Diane claims whatever they didn't destroy, they're holding hostage.
Did you discuss the trouble that they were having with your daughter?
Yes, Your Honor, she let me know, I would say in December at some point, just before the holidays, she let me know that Charles now has a girlfriend, and she further said to me that as far as he's concerned, Charles said, I have nothing to do with you, Nicole, financially, you're on your mother. And from that
yeah,
point
It
on...
was in January. We didn't.
So let's say it was January.
Okay, excuse me. And
All
from that
right.
point on, whatever her bills were, he contributed no money to her support. I bought her whatever she needed, cigarette, whatever it was.
I'm getting the picture. What I'm trying to do is to create a picture for myself. Now, what I want to know is, which one of you packed your mother's things?
My husband.
How did I know that? Wasn't that a good question to ask? How did I know that he packed the stuff like a slob?
Your Honor,
How did I know that he packed this stuff like a slob?
Her stuff was already packed. It was in the basement. She never unpacked it since we
Fine.
moved
Then
in.
who threw the food in there?
I
don't know. Let me tell you something, Mr. Glad, and you too. You had no right to treat your mother's property with such disrespect. If you were a decent human being, then you rent a U-Hauler and you carefully put your mother's stuff in the U-Hauler and you bring it over to and you bring it over to your grandmother's house. You don't take your mother's property that you brought to your home because you needed her to cover your bills.
Your Honor, we would have gladly moved into a one-bedroom apartment for $800 that we could afford. It was my mother's idea for all of us to move in together.
Your Honor.
Just a second. Say, if you're grown-ups, you're married, you have a child, say, Mom, thanks very much for your offer, but we're a family. We're a family, and we want to be by ourselves.
I see my mistake now.
Oh, it was definitely your mistake, madam, especially since I cannot believe that from the end of October, when you moved into December, he just got a girlfriend.
First of all, it wasn't a girlfriend.
I cannot believe that in that short 6-week period of time, he found himself a girlfriend. In any event, whatever damage that was done to her property is your responsibility. Period. Because if you didn't watch your husband pack your mother's property, somebody who interspersed her clothes and property with garbage just to be nasty. What?
On the 14th, we were advised by the landlord of the house to change the locks because my mother-in-law threatened $20,000 worth of damage to the house. Change the locks, put her stuff outside, have her come get it. We verbally agreed on a 10-day notice to move out. She would have everything out within 10 days. I then, with my wife, put everything outside the house.
And I'm telling you that that's not the right thing to do. The right thing to do is if you have a family and you've caused the problem.
We did.
You caused, yes, you did.
Okay.
Young lady, you and your husband caused the problem. Put your hand down, madam. I don't want you to say anything for a reason. You don't have to say anything else to exacerbate the situation. They could be mad at me. I have broad shoulders. They don't have to be mad at me.
Thank you.
You created the problem. He found a girlfriend. He said, I'm not giving you any more money. Don't go, just because you're back in the bedroom together doesn't mean that all these things didn't happen, madam. And it happened in a relatively short period of time. You suckered your mother into a situation, or at least he did. Maybe he had it in his mind all the time that he was going to dump you with your mother. I'm not sure. That's a possibility because he looks like a cutie pie to me. He may have figured out all the while, I'm going to get her in there with her mother, dump her with her mother, and I'm taking off. Maybe
Except
that's what
he was opposed to this. I'm the one that said, let's go with my mother. We could get a whole entire house. Our son can have a backyard to run around and play with, rather than an apartment.
I am sure at that time that you didn't know that he had a girlfriend.
He didn't.
Trust me. Trust me.
Okay.
Trust me. The fact that things are back on track now is very nice. We're not going there. All I'm telling you is you did the wrong thing.
I've moved my mother so many times, Your Honor. I'm tired of it. I'm sorry, but I think that she is more than able to move her own things now.
Good. So you're going to pay for it. Now, what was the damage to the property?
Let's see.
Let me see.
I have an itemized list here.
Let me see. What was the last month you paid rent?
In February, instead of $11.50, Nicole came to me on the 7th of February and said to me, Charlie only has $800. He does not have $11.50. Do you want to wait until the following Thursday, which would have been the 14th, to pay the rent, or do you want to put up the money for the $350 that he's short? I have a photocopy, Your Honor. This is in Nicole's handwriting of her checkbook. That says on February 8th. It wasn't stolen, Your Honor. Nicole's car was repossessed. She left her checkbook in my car because she needed a ride to get to the bank.
Ma'am, we have a police report, and her brother's a witness to her stealing it and returning it to the police officer.
My brother admitted to the police that we took it. She gave it back to the police, and then the police gave it back to us.
On what date did she take the checkbook?
February 11th when they broke into our bedroom and stole everything else.
She didn't steal a whole lot of other stuff. She took back an engagement ring
Right.
that she had given. Quiet. She took back an engagement ring that she had provided the diamond in the
yes.
engagement ring. Was that the engagement ring that he gave you?
Yes.
So he gave you an engagement ring with her diamond?
No, my grandmother's.
Well, your grandmother's diamond.
Yes.
No, Your Honor.
It was the
I
stone
have
from
both
my
rings
grandmother's.
right
Whatever.
here.
Yes.
That's what she stole.
She didn't. She stole the ring. Yes, I told her gladly, keep the. I don't want the diamond. I want the ring back.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What else?
They also took back my son's crib and dresser, because that hurt us a lot. Because now my son doesn't have a crib or a dresser.
Well, you married some winner.
Thanks.
He has a child and he can't afford to provide the child with a crib. He's a winner.
Not can't afford. My grandmother.
I just
willingly
said
went
to
and
you,
bought-
if you have a child, you said you don't have a crib for your child. Isn't that
No,
what you
there is
just
a
told
crib
me?
now. We bought a crib. Thank
Good,
you.
then you're not such a loser.
That's right.
You owe your mother $1,400. Let me get to your counterclaim and dispose of that very, very quickly.
Can I just tell you the utilities?
Rent, you don't get. Utilities, you don't get. Value of ring band. Let me see the value of the ring band. You made the diamond into...
All I have is the appraisal for the ring. I don't.
Then I have no idea what the ring band costs. What about the cable box?
My son thought that the cable bill was in my name, and at the same time when he took the DVD player, he did take the cable box. He will make arrangements with her, return it to them, no problem at all. It
Within
was
5
taken-
days, the cable box is to be returned. What else?
That's all we're suing
Good.
for.
Cable box goes back to the defendants and judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,400. That's all.
Thank you very much, Your
Excuse,
Honor.
You may step out. Wait here, please.
She just thought my husband was a bad man and that she thought he had a girlfriend from whenever, when she wasn't even a girlfriend.
He has no respect for her. The way he treats her, he verbally abuses her. He's very controlling of her.
My in-laws are nothing but pathological liars.
What a mistake she made with this marriage and getting hooked up with this guy. She can't say it.
Year-old homemaker Yolanda Andrews is suing former friend, 41-year-old daycare provider Michelle Thorne, for depositing bad checks into her account. Michelle says they were both involved in running a scam.
Miss Andrews, how do you know Miss Thorne?
Her daughter lives in the apartment behind my house.
And how long had you known her before this check incident?
About a year, I guess.
I'd like you to tell me about it because your claim is that she gave you a check to deposit into your account. You were being helpful to her, and the check turned out to be a bad check, which caused you all sorts of problems.
Right.
So tell me, when and under what circumstances she gave you this check?
Actually, first her daughter approached me and told me, well, since you lost your job and I see that you don't have any money or whatever, my mom can have you deposit these checks into your account and we can later take the money out and pay your bills, pay your car note, pay your rent. And she was going to have me deposit these checks. Then we were going to go shopping and buy some things from the store and return them for cash. Please, oh Lord. This is what she told me.
So let me understand this.
Okay.
Her daughter comes to you and says, you don't have any money.
Yeah.
Because you lost your job.
My mom wanted
So we're
help.
going, my mom wants to help you. And she's going to put in some money into your checking account so that you could pay your bills.
Yes.
And then go shopping to a store and buy merchandise and then return it for cash. And who was going to get the cash?
She was, me and her.
The two of you.
Right.
So she was really, according to your story, loaning you money.
She does this so that she can get cash for herself and for her, you know, other people. She does these things for other people. She put these 2 checks into my account.
Just a minute, just a minute. Thank you, Bert.
You're welcome.
Okay, but the matter of the $440.60.
Just a second. So she deposits this money into your account, about $2,000, these 2 checks.
Right.
And then you go shopping.
We went shopping.
And what did you buy when you went shopping?
We bought a 19-inch color TV and a stereo boombox.
And then she was supposed to return those things to get cash for the 2 of you.
Yes. And then when I got a letter from Target stating that the check had bounced, she told me she doesn't have the stuff right now and she'll pay for it. She'll take care of everything. She never paid it or never returned the merchandise. I got a letter from the district attorney's office, And the restitution is $440.60. I had to attend a bad check writing class, and and I wrote a letter to the DA letting them know what really happened. And the district attorney's office told me, well, unfortunately, your name is on the check, so you have to pay.
You were involved in a scam, Miss Andrews.
That's right.
You were involved in a scam. You knew this was a scam.
Right.
Right?
Right, I was desperate, yeah, at the time.
What?
At the time, I knew, yeah, yeah.
At the time, you knew it was a scam, whatever you were doing. I don't quite understand it. It was clearly something that was not legal.
Right.
You understood that, right?
Yes.
Well, if you understood that, how do you... All right, I'm going to calm down. That's first. Let me explain to you, Miss Andrews, what we call in the law the clean hands doctrine. Somebody that is doing the wrong thing and gets burned cannot come into a court of law and complain about it even though they got the short end of the stick. Do you understand?
Okay.
So from what you're telling me, you knew that what the defendant was doing, and you as her accomplice, was committing a fraud. If you know it's the wrong thing to do, you then cannot come to court and say, I want you to help me. I want the law to help me. You can't do that. So goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She didn't have to pay anything. She walked away with the merchandise, and I had to, and my name is bad.
You heard her. Dirty hands. You can't come to court.
Don't trust swindlers like her.
Field technician David Smoot is suing 40-year-old property manager Jeff Andrews and tow truck driver John Rentallen for having him falsely arrested. John says that David tried to run him down in a car.
Order. All rise. Yes, this is case number 492 on the calendar in the matter of Smoot versus Andrews Rentallen. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Mr. Andreas is the apartment manager of an apartment complex where your girlfriend lives. She is a tenant, is that right?
That's correct.
And you also live there, even though you're not on the lease?
Yes, I've been living there for over a year and a half now, Your Honor.
But you're not on the lease?
No.
According to your complaint, Mr. Andreas was having your car towed by the defendant, and you came home to find your car up being loaded onto a flatbed truck or a car that you were working on. It wasn't your car. And an altercation took place, and as a result of that altercation, you were arrested. You claim you were falsely arrested. So you are suing both defendants for having you falsely arrested. Is that what this case is about?
As well as the loss of the car, Your Honor. That's correct.
And ultimately, this car was, in fact, towed and was sold.
That's correct.
How long had this car been parked at the apartment complex?
For 2 days, Your Honor.
Is that correct, Mr. Andreas?
No, that's not correct. It was parked there on 2 different occasions.
When for the first time was it parked there?
It was the beginning of the new year.
And how long was it there then?
I would say at least 3 days. I almost had it towed before.
Now, why did you almost have it towed the first time, sir?
Because I had informed Mr. Smoot that it was tenant parking only.
When did you first inform him of that?
Before the new year. He had a truck parked there, and I asked that it be removed. It was unregistered.
Okay. Whose truck was that, sir?
I had borrowed a truck, okay, because I'm an auto mechanic by trade, and sometimes I have different vehicles when I come home from work. I parked probably 5 or 6 different vehicles there while Jeff was the manager. But
there came a time when there was a problem, Mr. Smoot.
Yeah, there was a problem. And I don't understand it, why there was a problem, because of the fact that, first of all, I brought a witness with me, Norma, which is the tenant that resides in number 18, that gave me permission to use her unoccupied stall. I also have a letter here from the property owner, and I can let her read the letter. The letter was
Just a minute. Did you ever see a copy of this letter?
No, ma'am. No, Your Honor.
Not to mention the fact that he was also terminated as the manager for not getting along with the other tenants in the building. I also have a letter of the change.
Has nothing to do with this.
That's not correct, Your Honor.
What do you mean, what's not correct?
I called the owner after the incident, and I asked, did he give permission? And he said, no, he didn't. He had instructed the tenant in number 20 to deal with me on the vehicle.
Whatever.
That's a lie.
I mean, I'm not taking this letter as gospel because it is just a letter. His letter is not sworn deposition. Just curious as to what he said. All right, but Mr. Smoot, you were told by the apartment manager that he didn't want these cars that you were fixing back and forth on the property. That would be a fair statement?
No, that would not be a fair statement, Your Honor.
Well, let me ask you this question. Are you a tenant in that building?
Well, I live there.
No. You're not on the lease. You're not in anybody's lease.
I'm not on the lease. That is correct,
You're not on the lease.
Your Honor.
So you are not a tenant.
No.
Is there a sign on the property that says parking for tenants only?
Not that I'm aware of, Your Honor.
Yes.
I have a photograph that
Let me see it.
that shows the sign right by the tenant's, his girlfriend's parking space.
Of course, there would be a sign that say tenants parking only. Anyway, there was a problem, and he decided to have your car towed. What happened when you came home and found your car being towed, Mr. Smoot? It wasn't your car, by the way. It was a car that you were fixing.
Yes, the car was operable. The only reason that the vehicle was parked inside of the stall is because the vehicle was not legal to have it on the street. And so I asked Mrs. Norma Wilt, my witness, if it was okay to park the vehicle there until I had a time to get the vehicle taken out and take it to the shop so that I can perform the services
So
on it.
you were, just a second, so you were really using this property as part of your business?
No.
You were.
If I park a
No,
vehicle?
you were. You were using this as part of your business. This was not your car. You were, in fact, storing it for business purposes until you could work on it. This was not your personal car for your personal use. It was a business car, and it shouldn't have been there. I don't care whose permission you have. It should not have been there. What happens, for instance, if this vehicle was dangerous for some reason and exploded? Let's say somebody was injured as a result of something that happened because of that car. Who do you think would be responsible? Who would be responsible, Mr. Smoot?
I would probably say the property owner.
That is exactly right.
But we had permission. I had permission from the
No, you did not. No. I don't believe that you had permission from the property owner, sir. I have no evidence that you had permission from the property owner. The property owner's not here.
No, but Miss Dolores Harris is.
No, Miss Dolores Harris is a tenant. She is not the property owner. And if something happened as a result of that car being there, she would not be responsible. The owner of the building would be responsible because they permitted that vehicle to be there. If that vehicle spewed oil all over the place and that oil caught fire somehow and there was damage or somebody was injured, it is the owner of the premises that would be responsible, not this lady who gave you permission to park the car there. She had no right to give you permission to engage in a business in her parking space. In any event, I'm telling you, just in case you think you're 100% right, you're not.
Jeff Andrews and John Rintalin had him falsely arrested. John says David tried to run him over in a car.
Now let's get back to, you come home and you find your car being towed. What happened?
I came through the fence and I said, Jeff, what are you doing? I said, you know how I make a living? I said, I make a living on working on cars. And I said, this vehicle doesn't even belong to me. I said, why are you going to, tow the vehicle? I said, I can't afford to pay for this guy's vehicle and pay for it to get it out of impound and stuff like that. And he said, I told you that you had until the end of the day to get it out of here. And I said, but it's not the end of the day. It's only 1:30 or so. That's why I came home from lunch to get the vehicle to take it off so that it wasn't going to create a problem. And he said, I don't care. He goes, I'm towing it away anyways. And so I proceeded to jump in the car. The tow truck driver was probably about 15 yards away, 20 yards away from the car. And what happened is that he had jumped...
No, just a second. You're going to get a chance to tell me your version of the events.
He had jumped in the tow truck, and I had gotten in the car. And so the tow truck is kind of like at an angle, and I'm trying to back out, and then he just gets real close to the back of the vehicle, trying to like block me in. And then Jeff comes around and starts like punching through the window, trying to get me out of the car. And he's like hitting me on the side of my head and stuff like that while the car is running. I had the car running, and it wasn't really running that good, and it's a stick shift. I had the thing in reverse, and he's like trying to pull me out of the car, and this thing is idling.
Just a second, please. You're going to have an opportunity. Don't interrupt again.
Yes, Your Honor.
It's like idling, and he's like trying to pull me out of the car, and my foot like lunged off of the clutch while it was in reverse, and it just kind of like jumped back. And then all of a sudden, I just hear like a screaming noise from his wife, and they're saying, "Do you have any insurance? Do you have any insurance? Call the police, call the police. We just, he tried to run us over. He tried to run us over." And they were trying to say that his leg was hurt. And when the police got there, they came and they took a little tiny red little irritation mark or something on a picture, a photo, and they asked him if he wanted to go to the hospital. He said no. At the same time while this was happening, just prior to that, I said, I'm going to go call the police myself. And so as I attempted to go down the hallway at my apartment, the police were right there, and they arrested me. And I said, I'm the one you're looking for, because I wanted to call the police, but they were there, and they turned me around and they arrested me for.
You got it? You
they
got
said,
all this, Bert?
I got all that.
They said assault with a deadly weapon. So these guys, Your Honor, I know the guy. You know, I never had nothing against him, but he's a white supremacist. You know, he's got tattoos all over him. You know, and
don't go there. Don't listen to me.
I'm just saying.
Don't go there.
I went to jail. They lied. I had a felony. I was looking at 1 year. I was looking at 1 year in jail. Okay, I missed about 17 days on a jury trial. Okay, I was finally found not guilty. Okay, and I missed all time.
But you went to trial. Is that correct? At the end of the people's case, was the case dismissed, or did you put on a case? Did you testify yourself?
I testified myself.
Then you presented a case. So the case was not dismissed after the people's case. Is that right?
I was found not guilty.
You're not following my question because you're just resisting it? There are two parts of a case. Don't you watch television?
Okay.
The district attorney presents their case.
Right.
And at the end of that case, the defendant, if the defendant wishes, presents their case.
Yes.
At the end of the people's case, the judge finds that there is insufficient evidence to support any kind of a verdict. The judge will direct the verdict for the defendant and dismiss the case. If there is sufficient evidence to go forward, then the judge hears the defendant's case. And then after that entire case, the judge has to make a decision beyond a reasonable doubt whether the allegations are true. Just because you were found not guilty doesn't mean you're not guilty. Just doesn't mean that they were not satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt that you were guilty. Do you understand the difference?
I understand.
All right. Now you've told your story. By the way, who got nicked with the car?
I did, Your Honor.
All right. So then I'm going to start with you, sir. You want to tell me you're called there to tow the truck?
We were called by Mr. Andrews to tow a vehicle, and I had my truck right up to the back of the vehicle that I was going to tow away. And that's when this gentleman over here jumped over the fence and came running up to the car, screaming and yelling, "What are you doing taking my car? You ain't taking it?" And yes, he is. You ain't. It went on like this for a while. This was the guy that signed the paperwork that I had, the permission that he wants me to take this off the property, this paper here. And I said, well, am I taking it? He goes, yes, take it. Okay. So I went to hook it up underneath the vehicle. I reached down, I go into the car to hook it up, and all of a sudden this car starts up and comes back on me, and I'm under the car hooking it up. And so I jumped up out of the way, and as I come up out of the way, this gentleman here running around the front of the car and pulled him off from the driver's seat because he was running, and his wife screamed, "Oh my God, he ran over the tow truck driver."
Okay. Now, before you hook up the car, did you see Mr. Andreas go over to the plaintiff at all? Was there any altercation in the car at all?
No, Your Honor. Mr. Andrews was standing to the rear of the car to my right, and they're arguing about taking the car, not taking the car.
And how far away were they from each other when they were arguing?
The car is between them.
Okay, the car was between them at that point.
Oh, yeah.
And he was not in the car at that point?
Not even.
So he got in the car as you went to hook it up?
I don't know when he got in the car, Your Honor. I was under the car, then I hear the car start up. I didn't see him get in the car. So he was still standing up. I went under the car, then he jumped in the car, I assume, started it up, proceeded to back up on me. I jumped out of the way, and that's when he ran around.
So you saw him run around at that point?
As I was coming back up from behind the car, yes, Your Honor.
Now, I'd like to see a copy of the police report.
I have that. I brought
I'd
that
like
for
to
you
see
today.
it, please. police report and the police at the scene noted injuries to the defendant, Mr. Rintalin, minor injuries, but injuries to the leg consistent with being hit by the car that you were driving. The police officer examined your entire head area where you had claimed that you were repeatedly punched.
Just hit on the side.
No, you said repeatedly punched is what you said. The police officer who examined you found absolutely no evidence of any bruises, marks, or anything else, and there were no visible injuries anywhere. So, Mr. Smoot, let me tell you what I believe happened, sir. I believe that perhaps Mr. Andreas acted precipitously. He had told you before not to park your business cars there. You did. And maybe he just decided he had had enough, whatever it is. He didn't give you till the end of the day. You came home and you were furious.
That's not true.
I don't care what you say, sir. Why don't you listen to me now?
Okay.
I'm speaking, sir.
Okay.
You came, you saw the car being towed. You were furious that it was being towed. I do not believe that Mr. Andreas punched you at any time other than trying to get you out of the car after you had hit this gentleman here with the car.
That's not true. Okay.
So, you don't like my ruling? There is no appeal. The district attorney believed that you, in fact, acted improperly when you got into that car and attempted to move it when somebody was attempting to do their job and hook it up to be towed. You have an alternative, Mr. Smoot, and your alternative was they tow the car to a lot at that time. If you feel as if you have been wronged, you deal with it. But what you did was you started a confrontation. And as a result of that confrontation, he could have been seriously injured because you were hot and you were not looking where he was when you got into that car.
That's not true, Your Honor. That's not true.
Yes, it is, sir.
No, that's not true.
Yes, it is, sir.
That's not
Listen
true.
to me. Put your hand down.
That's not true.
I don't care what you say, sir. I'm telling you it's true. You weren't concerned about anybody's safety at that point but the car.
I work on cars, and I know what a vehicle would do when you put a vehicle in reverse and then actually try running over a person.
Then what were you doing in the car, sir?
Because I was moving.
No. What were you doing in the car?
I was going to move the car. The tow truck was not in position to have the vehicle.
Then how did he get hit? He wasn't.
He wasn't hit.
Oh, yes, he was.
I have.
Oh, yes, he was.
He was trying to make money out of this deal. Okay.
No, sir. Let me ask you this question. Mr. Smoot, hey, quiet. Did they sue you?
Did who sue me? These guys?
Pay attention to my question.
Okay.
Did he sue you?
No, but...
Just a second.
No, he did not.
Well, if he did not sue you, sir, then he was not trying to make money off this situation.
Because he found out that he found out that there wasn't any insurance on that unregistered vehicle. That was the first thing that came out of his mouth.
Just a second. He could sue you.
That's true.
You work.
Right.
He doesn't have to sue the person whose vehicle it was. He could sue you. So, if he didn't sue you, then he's not the one trying to make money off of this situation. You are.
I'm trying to recoup my bail money from these guys lying to the police.
It's not going to happen, Mr. Smoot.
Okay.
You acted improperly.
I don't.
When you came there and saw your car in a situation where it was being towed, you could have done several things. You could have called 911 and called the police and say, please respond immediately. Someone is stealing my car.
And I tried, but they had already called the police and they lied.
No, Mr. Smoot, hey, please, I'm 10 steps ahead of you, sir. Before you jumped over the fence and got in the car, you did not attempt to call the police. I'm telling you, before this incident started to escalate, when you saw your car being towed, you get on the phone and you call the police and you say, somebody is stealing my car. You didn't do that. You didn't do that. You were hot. You were hot. There's no question you were hot, and maybe you had a right to be hot. But you precipitated the altercation over a car where somebody could have gotten seriously hurt. And for that, sir, you do not get rewarded. The case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I told him the day before that the car was there.
They're liars.
He totally disregarded it and said, I don't care what he says, I'm the manager, I'm towing the car.
You know, crack does something to you.
I just think that No,
he
I
had
just
something against him. He started it several days before.
They had no witnesses showing that I had anything against anyone in that building. You know, I worked there for 2.5 years.
We get along with everybody. It was him that didn't get along with everybody. That's why he no longer works there.
I didn't.
Assistant Tomka McMillan is suing her former best friend, 24-year-old administrative assistant Marshavon McNair, for assaulting her during her pregnancy.
Order. All rise. Yes, this is case number 513 on the calendar in the matter of McMillan versus McNair. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Young lady, have a seat, please.
Miss McMillan, you and the defendant, I gather from your complaint, had been very good friends for a long time.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were having a difficult pregnancy.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant, who was a good friend, came to help you. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
She came to help you emotionally, help you physically, and you claim that something happened. There was a big argument, and that she assaulted you.
Yes, ma'am.
Pulled out your hair, other things. You want to be compensated for that assault.
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you known her?
20+ years.
Ever had a fight with her?
No, we did not have a fight at all.
When did she come to your home?
Friday evening, the 28th, September 28th.
And where did she live?
She resides in Landover, Maryland.
And where do you live?
At the time, I was living in Hampton, Virginia.
So she had to make a trip?
Yes.
Did she come alone?
She brought her 2-year-old son.
And she came because you were having some trouble. What kind of trouble were you having?
Well, at the time, I had a healthy pregnancy. I had no problems until like the following morning.
What happened on the 29th?
I woke up, I had cramping. That Friday evening, I started having slight bleeding. I went to the emergency room that morning.
Did she help you?
Yes, she took me to the hospital in my car. She watched my daughter, Imani, and her son while I was there at the hospital.
Now, when was this argument?
That happened Saturday evening, the same day, the 29th.
On the 29th?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what precipitated this argument.
Well, I was upset, about the whole complication with the pregnancy. I came home and did complete bed rest like the emergency room physician told me. Go home, lay down, put your feet up, don't do anything else. My 9-year-old daughter was very upset, because she was scared that something was wrong with the baby. I was trying to explain to her, I'm having complications. Hopefully things will go well. I need to just lay here and stay still. And after explaining that to my daughter, Shakara, who I call Marshavon, that's her middle name, proceeded to say, I don't care. I don't want to hear any more about this effing baby. If it dies, it dies. You act like you can't have any more children. She was also upset because she really didn't agree with my pregnancy due to the fact the person that I was pregnant by, and she thought the whole situation was pretty much silly.
Silly?
So, yes.
Was it?
My ex-husband. So.
Okay, so go ahead.
So she got upset. She was like, you act like you can't have any more children. If the baby dies, it dies. So effing what? I'm tired of hearing about the baby. At that time, I said, would you please leave my home? I'm under too much stress. I don't need to go through this. So she said, fine. She didn't argue. She grabbed her bag, grabbed her son's belongings, and started walking towards the door. Well, I called my friend, and I said, you won't believe how she's acting, talking about Miss McNair. And so she said, I know you're not talking about me. And I said, just please leave my home. And she said, say something else. So I was like, leave my home. When I said that, she acted like she was walking to my front door. She turned around, got on top of me, and started pulling my hair out and punching me in my head. My daughter came over to try and get her off of me. She pushed my daughter. After she pushed my daughter came back to her, tried to pull her off of me, and then she got off me and said, oh my God, what did I do? She said, I'm sorry, Tomka, I'm sorry. Let me help you. I don't know what got into me. And I immediately proceeded to call 911.
All right. And what kind of injuries did you sustain, Miss McMillan?
She pulled my hair out. I had 2 huge knots on the left front side of my head.
What do you think triggered her off?
I think one thing that upset her is that I called someone. I think that's the thing that really set her off, is that I called someone and was telling what happened as far as her being upset about me speaking about the pregnancy.
What happened when you called 911?
I called, I told them, I was just assaulted. They asked me what happened. I told them I was laying down.
But you didn't pursue the matter with the police, I assume, is that right?
Yes, I did.
Was she arrested?
That evening, as soon as my mother came, picked me up, the officers told me, as soon as you possibly can, go downtown and fill out a criminal complaint.
Which you did?
Yes, I did.
What happened with that case?
They said they could not touch her because she was out of their jurisdiction. They would not expedite her from Maryland to Virginia, but they looked for her that night. They
and you wanted her arrested?
Yes, I did.
Do you still?
I love her. You know, I've known her since she was in diapers.
All right, Ms. McNair, tell me your version of the events.
The part that she said about me saying after baby is that I would never say anything.
What did you say?
I said she needs to stop saying that because she was saying, you know, she probably would never be able to have children and her life is over. And I told her, you need to stop saying that. You're young. Find someone who loves you and who wants to be with you. Maybe that's not what she wanted to hear at the time. So she said, if you don't like what I have to say, leave your home. You know, I was upset, you know, because I had drove down there to be with her. So I was getting my things and I was leaving, and she picks up the phone like she said, and she calls her so-called friend, and she proceeds to talk about me. So I said to her, you know, you don't have to disrespect me. You asked me to leave your home. That's what I'm doing. So we started arguing. She started yelling, and I started yelling. I just did not just act like I was leaving the house and attack her. No, that is not what happened. We were in each other's face. We were arguing. The next thing I know, we were fighting. I did grab her by the hair to keep her off of me. And as a result, some of her hair did come out. 2 weeks after the incident, I spoke with Tomka, and, you know, I apologized for what had happened as far as the hair thing. We were fighting on both ends. She was fighting me as well.
I was laying on my back with my feet propped up.
That's not true. So I apologized on my behalf of the damages that I had done. And because she had been my friend so long, I offered, you know, to pay for her hair because, you know, it was a silly incident. I just wanted to forget about it. So I did offer to pay for whatever hair treatments that she needed. She refused. And then 4 months later, I get papers saying that she's suing me.
Did you know that there was an outstanding warrant for you?
There isn't. No, we checked.
And I talked to City of Hampton Police Department just this past Friday. They stated to me that if she comes in Virginia, they're arresting her.
You don't want her arrested. I'm going to ask you again.
Honestly, after losing my child, I have nerve damage to the left side of my head. I've been to a neurologist. I think she needs to pay for what she's done. She pushed my daughter. She pulled so much of my hair out, my daughter actually spit my hair out of her mouth.
Millen says during her pregnancy, she was assaulted by former friend Marshavon McNair.
Let me see the hospital report, please.
And this is also the hair, my hair that she pulled out.
Is that your natural hair?
This is my natural hair that was tested, looked at by the neurologist, my hairstylist. This is from the neurologist stating the nerve damage to the left side of my head. And I also have a note from my gynecologist stating that I was pregnant up until October 2nd when he had to perform surgery because I had too much tissue loss. And he said that it was probably the stress.
Don't tell me what he said it was probably. Okay. I think you had a temper tantrum. And it wasn't so much that she asked you to leave the house, but that she called another friend while you were still there and talked about you. That was not smart, Miss McMillan. I don't know why you did that, just to make her more angry.
You're right. I mean, it was senseless for me to call the
It was senseless and it was insensitive because she was on her way out the door.
Right.
That doesn't excuse the physical nature of your response. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay. But you've been friends for a very long time, and you said to me before something about, you know, I still love her.
I still love her. I mean...
So... But there were some serious things that happened to her as a result of this pulling out of her hair by the roots. There was clearly indicated there that there was trauma to her head area. I mean, this is all very bad stuff, and that you are responsible for. What were your out-of-pocket expenses, Ms. McMillan, as a result of this assault?
My insurance has pretty much picked up all my neurological appointments, my gynecological. The only thing that my insurance won't cover is the extensive hair treatments that I've had.
How much were the hair treatments?
I have it listed from my cosmetologist. It's $35 plus $10 once a month for protein treatments, $5 a week for moisture treatments.
And how long have you been having those treatments?
Ever since 2 weeks after the assault happened, I had to have surgery, and my doctor ordered me, you know, not to go anywhere for like 2 weeks after the assault.
How much have you spent in total?
I couldn't tell you. I mean,
Well,
I never.
You have to tell me.
I honestly have no idea how much money I spent on my hair.
So let's say you've spent about $500 on your hair. That be a fair figure?
Okay, yes, ma'am.
You've not spoken until today?
No, we have. She's called like 2 or 3 times and left a message. I wasn't home.
Did you ever call her back?
No, I haven't called her number since like the day of the assault.
Well, she's sorry it happened. You prepared to forgive her?
I can't excuse what happened.
I didn't ask you to excuse her.
I forgive her, but
And
you
the
know,
only
because
thing-
God forgives me. But
No, I
as
asked
far
you
as-
if you forgive her. And the only question that I have is whether you want her to have a criminal record. That's something that only you can deal with your conscience.
I have double feelings. It's a part of me that looks at the friendship from when we were little, like 2 and 4 years old. And then it's the reality that, you know, my child is gone, my hair is gone, I can't feel the left side of my head. I mean, it's like I have mixed emotions. I don't want anyone to have a criminal record, especially.
Well, I
someone
want
who's
some
been-
people to have a
I mean,
criminal record.
What I'm saying is, I don't want anyone who I've grown up with, especially someone who's been my friend for 20 plus years, to have a criminal record, you know.
You'll have to make that judgment. In any event, I am awarding you $2,500 on your claim. That's substantially more than your out-of-pocket expenses and will at least cover some of your aggravation. You'll have to make a judgment as to whether you want to pursue this matter criminally or whether you want to indicate to the police that they need not look for her should she come into your jurisdiction again. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I lost an excellent friendship.
I miss her deeply.
We never fought until that day.
20 years of friendship gone down the drain.
I lost a good friend.
35-year-old auto repair shop owner Curtis Nordyke is suing his ex-girlfriend, 40-year-old secretary Barbara Gray, for the cost of a washer and dryer.
Mr. Nordyke, according to your complaint, during a brief separation from your wife, you dated the defendant.
Yes.
And then you reconciled with your wife.
Yes.
And after you reconciled with your wife, you sold a washer and dryer to the defendant.
Yes.
She picked it up, and now she refuses to pay you for it. The
Right.
agreed price was $500.
Yes.
The defendant says that during that brief period of time that you dated, you owed her a substantial amount of money, which she has deducted from the cost of the washer and dryer. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, so first of all, you just have to tell me, when I read this case and I read your complaint, sir, why in the world would you sell anything to the defendant, who I'm certain was not happy that you and your wife reconciled?
Why would I sell it to her?
Yeah.
Because she had called. She had called asking if I was still going to sell the washer and dryer.
Yes.
And we said yes. She had called and talked to my wife, Pamela.
I mean, did you all know each other before?
Pamela and Barbara had talked on the phone quite a few times about the washer and dryer.
I want to know whether the two ladies were friends before your separation. I mean, did they know each other? Did
No.
they have a relationship?
No.
You didn't?
No.
Is that right?
That's correct.
You just knew that he was dating her for a while.
Yes.
Okay. You picked up the washer and dryer, and you agreed to pay him the $500 initially. Is that correct?
Minus the shopping trip and the birthday gift and then the phone charges.
Had you ever discussed that with him?
Yes.
When?
At the time of getting the washer and dryer, that we deduct these things.
Did you tell him that when he said the washer and
Yes,
dryer was
yes.
$500?
Absolutely.
Did she discuss that with you?
Not at all.
Not at all?
No.
Well, let's see. What was the first amount of money, and when was it loaned to him?
Well, the price of the washer and dryer was $100 or $500, and then I.
You're not
asked him-
following me, Miss Gray.
I'm sorry.
In the time that you were together, which was from when to when? Give me the dates. Maybe I'll make it easier for you.
August to September.
Did you loan him any money in August?
1st of September.
And on September 1st, what amount of money did you loan to him?
On our shopping trip, his charges came
What
to.
shopping trip?
His sons were in town, and we went to a surf shop, and I bought a bunch of things. My son got some things, Curtis got some things, and we paid for it all together. And I added up his share to $294.49.
You mean you put it on your credit card?
A debit card.
Did he ask you to do that?
Yes, we had an agreement that he would pay me back.
Show him the receipt.
I wasn't aware that I was to pay any of this back. It was told to me as a gift.
Well, tell me about that. You went shopping with your kids.
Yes.
And you bought things for your kids.
Right.
Why didn't you pay for them?
She insisted to pay for them.
What did she say to you?
As a gift. She says, I'll pay for it. I'll get it for the kids. There was no agreement, and there was no tie-in with the washer and dryer on this at all.
No, forget
No.
washer and dryer. We're not talking, right now you're dating.
Yes.
Everything is nice.
Yeah.
You go shopping together.
Right.
Why didn't you pay for the things for your children yourself?
She asked to pay for them.
Did she?
Yes.
Is that right?
I took it as a gift.
You took it as a gift?
I took it as a gift, yeah.
Okay. Go. What else does he owe you for?
Well, the cell phone is the worst one. The minimum amount he owed me on the phone bill was $183.04. Then the cost of the phone itself was $99.63. And now
Well, tell me about the phone. Why did you buy him a phone?
Curtis had just filed bankruptcy, and he couldn't get a cell phone on his own unless he bought a prepaid, and they're quite expensive. And I said, you could join my family plan. And he agreed he'd split the cost of the phone. And I never received a dime.
Split the cost of the phone how?
That he'd pay his charges, and that we'd share the cost of the monthly access.
Okay. Did you have that conversation?
We had that conversation. The conversation was going to boil down to $20 a month, $25 at the most. It was a phone that she had put in her daughter's name. It was never in my name.
But you had a phone.
Yes, I had a phone.
You
for
had
about
a phone. Had you had a phone
Yes.
before?
No.
So now you have a phone.
Right.
And you have charges on that phone.
We bought 600 minutes under
Right.
the plan. And as far as I know, I never went over the minutes at all. I never
Okay,
saw
so
a
let's
bill.
say you have 600 minutes as a plan. How much does that plan cost?
I'm not sure.
How much does the plan cost?
It's $69.99 a month.
So $70 a month.
But we
And how many
did-
months did you have the phone?
I had it for a month.
So that's at least $70.
We had 3 phones on that plan. She had set up 3 phones
So
on
you
it.
get 600 minutes, and that's for all 3 phones.
Right.
Did he go over his minutes?
Yes.
Do you have his charges?
Yes.
Can I see them, please?
Yes.
No, no, no. Give them to him.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's why he came over. Okay. Are the yellow highlighted his calls?
Yes.
Well, it says the total calls on your phone were $183.04. Did you ever give her the $20 for the service charge, the access?
No, I didn't give her that.
Okay, so far, just those basics without the other thing comes to $497. Cost of a washer and dryer.
There was never any agreement of this other money, the gifts that she bought for
I
my
don't find
children.
that they were gifts. They
Okay.
weren't gifts for you. I believe that you went shopping together. She bought some things for her kids. You bought something for her kids. You put it all on one bill.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to pay her back. And even if there wasn't an agreement to pay her back, which I doubt, it would seem to me as a man, he would say, listen, I've decided that this relationship isn't working out. I don't want you to be out any money.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want the washer and dryer, I probably owe you at least $500. Take it. That's a gift.
That wasn't the agreement of the washer and dryer.
I just made it the agreement. Your case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I tend to be a very nice person.
She has harassed me at home.
I've certainly never harassed anyone in my life.
It's been a horrific strain.
Curtis and his wife, I think, are kind of scam artists.
We've had to go out of our way to stay away from her.
They use people.
When I go out, if I see her, I try to go the other way.
I'm not going to share money with a man unless I have a wedding ring on my finger.
Home remodeler Dana Tice is suing her ex-boyfriend, 39-year-old restaurant manager Dwayne Randall, for repossessing her SUV. Dwayne says Dana ruined his credit.
Order. All rise. This is case number 505 on the calendar in the matter of Tice versus Randall. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. Tice, according to your complaint, you and the defendant dated briefly, and you suffered from bad credit.
Right.
You also wanted some sort of a vehicle to get around in, and the defendant agreed to purchase a car in his name, but it was your car.
Yes, it was.
The agreement was that you were to make all the payments, you were to pay for the insurance, and then there came a point when the defendant took back the car.
Yes.
And you want everything that you put into the car. In addition
Yes.
to the monthly payments, you want the insurance and also some improvements that you made on the car.
Yes.
The defendant says that he was forced by circumstances to take your name off of the insurance, and therefore he had to repossess the car. And aside from the fact that you were really just sort of leasing the car from him. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
When was this car purchased?
On August 22nd of 2000.
And did you have to put any money down?
Yes, I did. I had to put $800 down.
Now, Mr. Randall, so far is that correct?
That's correct, sir, Your Honor. And we jointly put down the deposit.
Where did the joint money come from?
Prior to us purchasing the vehicle, I had prior owned a Honda Accord. I had asked her if she knew anybody was interested in buying the car. Then she came back to me and said her father was interested in buying the Honda from me. I was asking $1,000. I said, I at least got to have $800 for the vehicle. She said, well, would you take $500 down and I'll pay you the rest? I never received the balance of the car.
Your problem, Mr. Randall, however, is that you don't have a counterclaim, because even according to what you tell me, there was no agreement that this $800 that she put down on the new truck, some of it would be your money and some of it would be her money.
I understand.
Good. So she put down the $800 as a down payment for the car. And what were the monthly payments on the car?
They were every 2 weeks I paid $155 on
And
it.
you made how many payments?
4 of them.
And how much for insurance?
I gave him $100 for insurance.
When did you put the stereo in?
I put the stereo in 2 weeks after I had the truck. I had purchased the stereo from a friend of mine, $80 for the stereo, and I had to pay him $40 to put it in.
Now, Mr. Randall.
Yes, ma'am.
You took the truck back from her. Tell me why.
Well, after the accident...
What accident?
She opened the door, and my truck accidentally hit hers.
When was this accident?
I have police report on it.
Just a second. When was the accident, Mr. Randall?
I think it was in...
What was the date?
September 5th.
Tell me what happened.
One of her apparent alleged boyfriends that she initially sold my Honda to, not her father, but to this gentleman. He was trying to find out where she had taken the car that she allegedly sold him. That's where the $500 came from that she gave me for the car. It's from him. She never transferred the title over to him, and she was selling the car again to someone else.
Because he didn't give me no money. Okay.
So I've found out where the car was, the truck was that she was driving, because it was legally mine. You know, I have the...
I'm talking about the accident in September, sir.
Okay, that's what I'm getting to, man.
Well, then get there.
Okay.
You found out where it was.
Found out where it was. She was running towards it. I was trying to get in it, take repossess it because...
Why were you trying to repossess it?
She was playing games with me.
What do you mean she was playing games with you?
She was lying to me about her activities while we were dating.
You were annoyed with her, so that's why you were repossessing the truck. It was not for any other reason.
Right.
Okay, so you were trying to not repossess it, you were trying to get it back.
Exactly.
And what did you do?
Me and her other boyfriend, we drove up, and I was trying to get the truck from her. Tried to pull around her. She opened the door up, and my truck at the time, hit her door and pushed it in. We had I guess she was kind of scared because we were...
Fighting?
Arguing.
Okay, so you hit her car?
Not intentionally, I didn't.
You hit her car?
Oh, yeah. I hit my vehicle, my vehicle.
Cute. You hit her car?
It was my car,
No,
Your
it was
Honor.
titled in you, but that was not your agreement. Your agreement was it was going to be her car as long as she paid for it.
As long as she paid on it, she can drive it. But I did receive some notice of late payments.
That's not why you went. That's not why
I went there.
All right. Now, you say that you repossessed this car a month later in October. Why?
Well, after that incident, my insurance company made me sign off on her. She was never on my insurance at all. As long as I let her drive it, she was allowed to drive it. But once her MVR came back, they told me that she was not allowed to drive the truck anymore.
Once her what came back?
Her MVR, her driving record.
Yes.
Once they came back, they told me that she was not allowed to drive it. Also, she
What was
wasn't
wrong with her driving record?
They just told me that she wasn't allowed to drive it.
Just a second. What's wrong with your driving record?
Nothing. I have 2 points. I was a delivery driver at Domino's. If anything would have been wrong with my driving record, they would not have hired me.
Well,
What do you mean you have 2 points? What does that mean?
A speeding ticket.
1 speeding ticket?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is it possible, Mr. Randall, that you just decided that you weren't going to give her permission to drive the car anymore?
No, it was not my...
Show me the letter from the insurance company.
I have it right here.
I'd like to see it.
This is the one stating from my car where she's disallowed and
I want to
anything...
see the letter from the insurance company that says she's got to be taken off the insurance.
Okay, that's the letter from the insurance. Here's my leasing agreement.
Would you just show me what I asked you to show me? Doesn't say anything.
No,
Just says her name
Right.
and your name.
If she would have hit someone, I'd have been liable because they told me she wasn't allowed to drive it.
No, they don't tell you those things, sir. They write you a letter.
And
That's what they do. They write you a letter, because all this says is that both of you are okay to drive the car.
I'm sorry, I didn't bring enough the documents, Your Honor.
Well, that's your defense. Your defense is that you took back this car because the insurance company advised you that she was no longer able to drive the car.
Exactly.
Now, that they send you in writing. They don't send it to you by carrier pigeon. They send it to you in writing. This doesn't say why she was taken off.
It doesn't state that.
You could have said to them, look, I don't want to be responsible for her anymore.
Well,
that might have been, because this wasn't an accident. Now let me see the police report.
But she was never, if I told her she wasn't allowed to drive it, then she's not allowed to drive it.
Absolutely right. No, that I agree with you, sir.
Okay.
We don't have an issue about that. You may have said to her, shh, you may have said to her, I don't want you to drive the car anymore, and I'm taking you off the insurance. And therefore, I will be liable if you get into an accident, so I am taking back the car.
Exactly.
Is that right?
That's
But that breached your agreement with her unless there was some reason. She didn't hit you, you hit her, because you were angry. You hit her.
Ex-boyfriend Dwayne Randall illegally repossessed her SUV. Dwayne says Dana was cheating on him.
You were angry because she was probably two-timing you, probably pulled some scam with your car. That's all very possible. But you hit her, and then you said, I'm not going to give her permission to drive the truck anymore. Now I have to take it back. So my question to you is, she put some money into this truck.
She used everything that she paid into it.
What did you do with the truck, sir?
After
you repossessed it?
They voluntarily repossessed. I turned it back over to the leasing place.
Did you get any money for it?
No, ma'am. What I did is I had to replace the radio that she claims that was in it, that she took the faceplate off of it.
Right.
But there was a radio in it when she took it. She replaced a radio that belonged to in the vehicle anyway.
So you had to put in a different radio?
Yes, I have the receipt for that.
And show me proof that you turned it back into the finance company.
Your Honor.
You have it?
No, I have the proof of the original application, though, that we filled out. This is showing that he had got the truck. I was on here, and the truck was my vehicle. I was the one driving it.
Yeah, I understand that.
She was.
I understand that you would to drive the truck.
Her name was not on this lease, Your Honor.
No, I understand that.
Only thing that is she's allowed
Her
to
credit
drive
didn't pass, so she had to use your credit. But that doesn't mean, sir, that you really had the right to breach your agreement because you were angry over a social situation. That also doesn't mean, Ms. Tice, that you get back all the money that you put into the truck.
I
What?
barely had the truck because he wrecked it and it was in the shop, and then he took it from me. He showed up so many times unexpectedly.
Should have been more careful about what you did. Should have waited until your credit got better. What was wrong with your credit? How did your credit get so
I got a
messed
car
up?
repossessed.
Now you have 2 cars repossessed.
Actually, 3.
Was it 3 cars you had repossessed?
No, it was 2.
Maybe it could have been 3?
That was the third one.
So now it was 3. So you had 2 cars repossessed before.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. The only thing you have to give her back, Mr. Randall, listen to me, is you have to give her back her down payment on this car, which was $800. She paid you $100 for insurance. Well, she's got to pay some insurance, and she made 2 months' worth of payments. You had the car for 2 months. You had the truck for 2 months. You used it for 2 months?
No, I didn't, Your Honor. It was in the shop. He wrecked it. And I paid ahead of time before he took it. He took it on October 17th, and I had made a payment for the 30th. So he would not have a reason to take the truck from me.
Shouldn't have done it. What I'm telling you is you had a brief relationship with him. You're giving him your money. It's in his name.
Right.
Something happens with that relationship. You get involved with somebody else.
We wasn't together like that anyway.
Well, if you weren't together like that anyway, Miss Tice, then you don't do stupid things.
Right.
By giving somebody money and saying, I'm going to rely on your goodwill, that we're still going to be friends 3 years from now when this truck is paid off, and then you'll put it back in my name. I mean, that was really your agreement.
Right.
Right?
Your Honor.
What?
I did have the paperwork for the radio that I had to replace, which I tried to get a faceplate for that she claims that was missing.
That I paid for the radio and he
but
took
I
it.
took the radio. The place took the radio out. There was no serial numbers on it. It was all scratched off.
Mr. Randall, let me tell you why you're getting off easy, sir. Because she did a foolish thing allowing this truck to be in your name. I don't know what other shenanigans she was involved with the other car that she sold to father, to friend, to boyfriend, that she never gave it to him. She was going to sell it to somebody else. She sounds like she's a wheeler dealer herself. However, You caused the problem, sir. You had the accident. And it was an accident that would not have happened but for the fact that you were angry. You were in your truck with a boyfriend of hers, looking for her, looking for trouble. And you found it. And as a result of that, your truck may have gotten damaged. The truck that she was driving clearly was damaged because you had a hot head. So I don't care if you had to replace a radio or a faceplate. It's meaningless to me. You're getting off easy. But you have to give her back her down payment, which was $800. Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I thought we had a future.
I always told him I could never be with him, and he never understood that.
How they say, good guys always finish last.
He was crazy. He tried to stalk me all the time.
Sina Fortner is suing her ex-boyfriend, 23-year-old massage therapist Josh Reason, for unpaid credit card charges.
Ms. Fortner, according to your complaint, the defendant's former boyfriend of yours, you did the one act of foolishness that you probably know that I disapprove of, which is you gave him a credit card. You broke up. You claim that there is an extensive balance on this credit card, and all those charges are his. The defendant seems to indicate that the charges on the credit card are not his, but yours, and that there was sort of an arrangement, is what I get from you, sir, that he paid the rent and the other bills in the house, and the Discover card was yours. Is that your defense?
Yes.
Try to keep a straight face when you say that. When did you live together? From when to when?
Probably from June to about October.
And when did you give him this credit card?
In June.
Why?
Because he was my boyfriend. We had been childhood neighbors and everything. He needed credit to build up so he could get a car loan.
Did you ever charge anything on the credit card?
Yeah, I charged, what was it, car loan, basically. I paid off my car loan because my car got impounded and
So you did use the credit card?
I did for that. And I had bought some household items. I have something for you highlighting his charges and separating mine.
Well, then let me see the charges. Let's take a look.
I have my own copy.
Everybody wants to come up here today.
Beds and rooms, $36.
It's for a bed frame that he has.
So that's yours?
It was hers. I just put it up because we were sleeping on the bed.
Well, who has it now?
I do.
You do?
Yes, Your Honor.
So you pay for it, right? Applebee's, that's a restaurant. Benihana in Fort Lauderdale, that's a restaurant.
Yes.
I mean, are you charging him for all the restaurant bills that you went out?
I put plenty of things on my credit cards as well.
What you're saying is sometimes you paid and sometimes he paid. You didn't expect me to figure out who paid for what dinner.
Exactly.
Rental car, $582.
That was for a trip that we went. We went to the Bahamas and Florida for our birthdays. I paid for the trip and for the flight tickets. He had to buy the car because I didn't have a license and so forth, and he wanted to anyways because...
You paid for the tickets?
$3,000 just about for the trip.
Did he give you any part of that?
No.
Is that right, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
So what about this car rental?
I had no idea about the car rental.
What do you mean you had no idea about it? Who
Your
rented
Honor?
the car?
I did.
So what do you mean you had no idea about it?
I had no idea that we needed to rent a car when we got there. She told me that everything was going to be paid for.
What happened when you got there?
It was a surprise to me.
It was kind of unforeseen. They told me that the car rental was taken care of, and apparently only a portion of the car rental was taken care of. So then he took care of the other portion because I was already paying so much for the trip.
I didn't have any other choice.
No, I had another choice. You had another choice. She could have rented a car and you could have walked.
It's true. Very true.
All right. Vaughn's, $180.
Groceries.
For the two of you?
Yes.
And then there's another one for Vaughn's.
Yes. I've also bought groceries too in the past, though.
I understand.
Mostly with cash, though.
Did you send her flowers, sir, from Angela's?
Yes, Your Honor.
So that's your bill? You
Yeah,
didn't expect her to
definitely,
pay for her own flowers?
No, Your Honor.
Good Guys. What's Good Guys?
That's some speaker wire he bought for his little surround sound deal.
Fred's Tire Man.
Parts and
Parts
somewhat?
for her car.
For my car?
You sure that was parts for her car?
Yes, it was a ball bearing for the undercarriage of the car.
A ball bearing costs how much?
Whatever it was.
$82 for a ball bearing? I don't know about that one.
Olive Garden restaurant, and there's another cafe. There are some small charges. I'm looking at the big ones here because I'm not going into who's watched a movie that you rented from Blockbuster. Okay, there's the Sheraton Hotel Suites, $233.46.
That was when we were in Florida. Apparently the last night wasn't paid for. because we came back from the Bahamas and we had to spend another night there. We
All
got
right.
room service too.
And you
because we
both
got in
stayed
late.
there, is that right?
Yeah.
Well, so it's fair to charge him for half.
Okay, whatever.
All right. Don't do this again. It's really irritating.
No, I'm not going to, believe me.
Good. Very good. Mr. Reason, you said you paid all the other bills in the house. Is that true?
Yes, Your Honor.
Like the rent?
Yes, Your Honor.
It's not
Is that
true.
correct?
No, it's not.
Well, tell me about that.
No, we both paid rent, we both paid for groceries, we both paid, it was, I mean, he
Talk
paid
about
for
just the rent.
Okay, for the rent, sometimes I buy him things and he'd say he paid me back, I said just take it out of my rent money. So then at the end of the month when the rent money came, basically I wasn't giving him a whole lot because he'd already spent my rent money.
How did you keep a list?
Well, I didn't buy him a lot of things, but when I did, I kept notes.
Let me
I'm a
see.
very organized person. I don't keep
Well,
notes
that's
that long.
important
I mean,
because if he was paying for the rent, then I can understand
No, he
an
wasn't paying
arrangement
for all the
where
rent.
if you went out for dinner,
no, he wasn't paying for all the rent. Not at
well,
all.
he was. If you bought him a few things and said take it off the rent, then he's paying for the rent. What was the rent?
$800.
A month.
Plus utilities. Yes.
I still put in money at the end of the month. I just didn't put in my full half or whatever.
Okay.
Because
so he
I
was paying
bought-
most of it.
Okay, I bought him things in order to pay that off, and he knew that.
Like what?
I'd really rather not get into that.
Fine.
Just things.
Okay. $810.32.
I added up closer to $2,000 actually.
I know you did. But that's all.
Did you add the interest?
No. Since when?
Since June. July statement. I put it on the very last page. I put a breakdown of everything.
Well, but that's interest on this whole $2,000 that you think I don't think he owes you $2,000. I think he owes you $810.32. It's about $860.32 with interest. Judgment for the plaintiff in that amount. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Ridiculous. And I did pay for things throughout our relationships.
That was very fair.
I paid for lots of things on my credit cards too.
No.
He made the charges. He should pay for them.
She feels that she owes me money.
I mean,
5-year-old homemaker Janelle Murray is suing her ex-boyfriend, 27-year-old construction worker Rule Johnson, for an unpaid loan. Rule says the money in question was payment for working on her house.
Order. Come to order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 109 on the calendar in the matter of Murray versus Johnson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Miss Mary, according to your complaint, you loaned the defendant $3,500. You knew him from a previous relationship. You want to tell me when you loaned him the money, what was it for, and where did you get it from?
I loaned him the money in the middle of February. We had known each other about a year and a half prior to. We had been dating. It didn't work out. He couldn't commit. We reconciled at the beginning of the year. He came to me crying about the middle of February, indicating that his life was in danger, that if he didn't have this money, he would be hurt. I trusted him. At that point, he said that he wanted to make this relationship work. I took him for his word. He swindled me.
Where did you get the money from?
It was a tax debt that I owe. I took a loan out on my house.
I just said it was a tax debt. What kind of tax debt?
I owe the IRS money from cashing stock in. I took a mortgage out on my house.
Do you have proof of that?
Yes. He knew I was getting a loan for this money. He came to me right about the time it was about to fund.
Let me see.
Your Honor, that's false. I didn't know anything about the loan until after the fact.
He had made an agreement with me, an oral agreement, that he would pay this back before the 15th.
Just a second. Okay, and what date did he come to you in February?
On the 20th.
And what did he tell you that the money was needed for?
I have no idea. He said that his life was in danger. I took
didn't
him for
ask
his
him?
word. I just saw that he was scared.
And you gave him the money in cash?
Yes. He indicated that was the nature of it.
Your Honor, I do have a
Just a
bank account. I'm able to cash checks.
Just a second. How much was the amount of your tax bill?
$70,000.
Okay. Go.
Your Honor, this first thing I'd like to present this letter, actually, that I have. It shows
A letter
little-
from what?
It's a letter, actually, from the plaintiff. It shows a little bit of what her word is, and
Your Honor,
That's-
I have
this-
never mailed him any letters.
it obviously has her. That's the original there, Your Honor, with her signature at the bottom.
I can't read and listen to you at the same time. Okay, just show this to her. That really has nothing to do with this case.
Absolutely nothing.
Well, that
Has
goes
nothing
to
to
show
do
that
with
her
the case.
word really means nothing, to tell you the truth, Your Honor. This was not a loan.
Well, tell me what
I
it
had
was,
done
sir. I
work
read
for
your
her.
answer. Tell me what it was.
I had done work for her the middle of last year, my brother as well was working with me at the time. He was my employee. And we had spoken with her, him and I, at the same time, were present, to do anywhere from $8,000 to $10,000 worth of work on her home.
That's a lie.
Skylights, countertop, tile, replace a double door in the front entry.
Okay, so you had started to do some work on her house.
That's correct.
When did you start to do the work on her house?
I believe it was July 24th or 25th. We worked there for 3 days.
2000?
Yes.
And how many days did you work there?
We worked there for 3 days, Your Honor.
Oh, okay.
On the third day, we had the job almost completely done, the portion that we were doing, and she said, I'll finish it myself. Had never given us any money for materials besides a $500 check. She had not paid us for our labor, which I had to pay my employee.
She gave you $500.
A check, that's correct, and that
Well,
was
the
in
check you
July of
cashed.
2000.
I'm speaking. She gave you a check for $500, and according to you, you worked there 3 days.
That's correct.
Do you have a contract with her?
But we had a verbal agreement.
Did you have a contract with her?
I did not, Your Honor.
Okay. Because no contractor starts a job that says it's between $8,000 and $10,000. When you
She
do
had a list.
I'm speaking. When you do a contract, you say this item is going to cost this and that item is going to cost that. You don't believe that the work that you did in 3 days was $4,000.
No, it was not, but subsequent to me accepting this job, I turned down numerous other jobs because I was going to be at this job for anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks.
You have proof of that?
Not on hand, Your Honor.
Well, that's your defense. That's your defense to this action. So you should have proof. Now you're telling me she just came home one day and said, I don't want you to work on this project anymore.
That's correct, actually, Your Honor. A few days before that, she had told me that she loved me and wanted to be with me. We went to her house that evening. My brother and I spoke with her on doing this work. She had a large list, pulling out bushes, skylights, numerous work around her house that she had just purchased. We told her, okay, we can start in a couple of days. We came by on the Monday of the first part of the week. When we showed up, we asked her to open the garage door so we could unload
So you
materials.
didn't have another job right then?
No. I told her I could be there on Monday.
Just a second. So you were free immediately?
No, I
My
told her I could
statement
help
was
her
you were
out.
free immediately. She spoke to you the week before. You were able to start that Monday. So you were free. You didn't have any other commitments.
At present, I did not at hand. She had asked me first. I had other jobs that I went to. That's the main reason why.
No. My question was, and your response is, you had no other commitments that prevented you from starting her job immediately.
No, I did not.
Okay.
My father had just passed away, so therefore I was still grieving from his death. I had been taking care of him for the first part of that year as well.
Mr. Johnson, pay attention to me. This is about money. This is not about
I
your
have a bill
father's
here as well
unfortunate
that I normally
demise.
write up for customers
Okay?
that I work
Now,
for.
don't you understand when my mouth is moving? There is only one voice that I hear.
To apologize, Your Honor.
Good. Now, if you felt that she owed you money in July of 2000, why didn't you sue her?
I had spoken to my attorney on putting a lien on her house, and work picked up at that time, so I just filed the bill away that I had written up for the initial work that we had started.
Then I'd like to see the bill that you say you filled out then in July of 2000.
That's correct, Your Honor.
For the work that you started.
I do believe there's a legal term for this called quantum merit, Your Honor.
You didn't do $4,000 worth of work in 3 days. I know what the legal terms are. Quantum merit means that you are paid for the work that you do.
That's correct.
This is not the work that you did in 2.5 days.
She gave me a check for $500, that is it.
Pay attention. This is not the work that you did in 2.5 days. That's not what your answer is. Your answer is that you gave up other jobs because you had a job that you thought was going to last several weeks. That's your
correct.
defense.
That's correct.
So what are you showing me this bill for $4,000?
That's the work that we started doing. Halfway through that, she decided to tell us, and I'll finish the job myself, because the first day we arrived on the job, she had a new boyfriend there.
Your Honor, the reason that I... Did you remove the countertop?
That's correct.
Did you install a new countertop?
That's correct.
One out of 3.
What do you mean 1 out of 3?
There are 3 countertops. He installed one, gouged the second one, and left the other one standing
That's
in my
false,
garage.
Your
Just a
Honor.
second. Is it there?
I paid somebody else to correct the job.
That's false, Your Honor. There was one section left not put in, Your Honor, and that was the sink side, and that was the day that she asked us to leave. She would finish the job herself.
I fired him because he verbally assaulted me.
What did he say?
That is
He
false,
quoted
Your
me
Honor.
that the job would take 3 days, cost about $800. We're talking tile on the floor, kitchen countertops and a kitchen sink.
The initial job that we had quoted was just the surface.
On the third day,
Not to
my
the
stove
countertop.
was still not put in its place. The countertops were, my kitchen was not functionable. He kept verbally assaulting me, making rude
that's
comments
false
to
again,
me.
Your Honor.
Please
I don't want to hear
interrupt
any
me.
interruptions.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
Please don't interrupt.
That's a lie. That's a
It is
pure
not
lie.
a lie.
Out. Him. Out. And the next time somebody speaks, I'm going to resolve this case. It's not going to be to their satisfaction.
She's a liar. That's a lie.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you? There is not to be any discussion between the two of you, and you are to respond to my questions. That's the way I run a courtroom. If you don't like it, go somewhere else.
Janelle Murray says ex-boyfriend Rule Johnson owes for an unpaid loan.
Okay. You fired them.
Yes.
Did he leave a sink there?
No. I bought my own sink.
Okay.
That's false as well, Your Honor.
Show me the bill.
I don't have the receipts. I've given them to her at the time.
You're a contractor. Contractors have bills. Can I see it,
Checks.
please? Did you buy a sink set, faucet, and plumbing?
I did not. That was to install her old faucet and plumbing with
You
the
didn't
new
do that.
sink.
Just a second. You didn't do that.
No. That was when
just,
she called us.
just answer my question. You didn't do that.
No.
And you didn't buy the sink.
Yes, I did, Your Honor. That's false.
And yet you have no proof that you bought a sink, right?
I've got my witness, which you asked to leave the courtroom.
Yeah, because he has a big mouth. He doesn't know where he is, and he's not coming back.
Well, when the plaintiff lies, I mean, it's only fair to stand up and say when somebody's a liar.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,500. That's how I resolve the case when you have a big mouth.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Have a nice day, Your Honor.
You may step out.
She couldn't accept the fact that she couldn't have me.
He's obviously very full of himself.
She's been obsessive after my brother. She's stalked him.
Ladies, fair warning.
She's a crazy lady.
Pretty faces and money don't make.
30-year-old electrician Steve Gilbraith is suing his ex-wife, 30-year-old food care supervisor Kristen Brown, for an insurance settlement she received when their marital home burned down.
Mr. Gilbraith, you and the defendant had been married.
Yes, ma'am.
You are now divorced.
Yes, ma'am.
Your claim has to do with some property that was in the marital home. The marital home was destroyed by fire. The defendant was reimbursed for losses in that fire by insurance, and you want to be paid for the stuff that was in the house that belonged to you.
That is correct, ma'am.
Okay. So now I need some dates from you, sir. When were you and the defendant married?
We were married October 7th, 1989. Divorced October...
Just a second. I'll ask the questions. When did you separate?
Late 97, 98.
Do you remember the month?
I believe it was in January.
Of 1998.
8.
And when you separated, you were living in the home that burned down?
At the time, yes, and then I was asked to move out.
No, just a second. Just answer the question. Don't volunteer. Never volunteer. At the time that you separated, you were living in the house that burned down.
Yes.
The divorce became final when?
On October 29th, 99.
Almost 2 years after you had separated.
Yes.
And 1 month later, the house burned down.
That is correct.
After the final divorce.
That is correct.
Now, what property do you claim, sir, was left in the house when you moved out in January of 1998?
There were personal belongings of mine that the defendant had agreed that I could keep there.
You're volunteering information again. I said, what property did you leave in the house?
This is a list of everything, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Galbraith, between January of 1998 and the time of the divorce in October of 1999, had you gone back to the house at all for any of your property?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
What property did you go back for?
Mainly at the time, it was my personal clothing and stuff like that. Things that I had left there were items that I was actually working on remodeling my son's room in the house, my tools and stuff like that. The majority of what I took out was my personal clothing at the time.
Mm-hmm. Now, I see a large document in there. Is that your judgment of divorce?
I have my the degree of dissolution here also.
I'd like to take a look at it. This says that at the time of your divorce, you and your wife had allocated all property that belonged to each of you.
That's correct.
And your judgment of divorce says that at the time of this agreement, you have decided whose property belongs to whom, and whoever has physical possession of that property now is the owner of that property. Did you know that?
Yes, ma'am.
The husband and wife agree that each party shall retain as his or her own, free and clear of any claims of the other party, all items of household goods and furnishings presently in his or her possession. That's what it says. So, at the time that the house burned down, sir, all the property in her possession was hers.
The power tools that were in the house I was using to, like I say, to remodel my son's house. Those are tools I use every day on my job. The items that was in there were items that we, her and myself, had agreed verbally that she would allow me to keep there.
Then you put it in this agreement. Did you have an attorney?
At the time, no.
Should have. You signed this.
As I said before, we had a disillusion, and it was an agreement between us in the best interest of our children to keep everything. We've been friends for over 20 years. We tried to keep it in the most friendly possible way we could.
That's fine. What I'm saying to you, Mr. Gilbraith, is that you keep it as friendly as possible. But when you outline in an agreement all other property, you talk about the house, you talk about the car, your truck, it names the truck, it names the year of the truck, the make of the truck, the model of the truck that you're going to keep. It talks about the car that she's going to keep, that she's going to keep up the insurance. You have to do certain deed transactions. It talks about all of those things. And then it talks about personal property. And if you had any personal property in that home, you'd just as easily say, listen, we have to put in another paragraph and list all this property that I have in the home that belongs to me. That's very easy. Didn't anybody tell you that, sir? Am I the first person who's told you that?
No, ma'am. I just, as I said, I assumed, being friends that we were, that I could take her on her word.
Did you give him your word that this was all of his property?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
This list, which was made April of 2001, well after the fire.
That's how long it took me to get all the records and inventory from the insurance company.
It may be, sir, but you had no insurable interest in the property as of the date of your divorce. Because as of the date of this divorce, you were not the owner of any property that was in her possession. It's a simple legal matter, unless she acknowledges that she was merely holding this property for you. You acknowledge that?
No, ma'am.
However, she knows the tools that were in my son's room and all my stuff that was there in that room was being done for her in regards to the remodel of that home, which I had promised I would finish. Unfortunately, a fire happened in the home before that.
That may be. But you're not suing under that theory that you were a workman doing renovation in the house. Your tools were there when it burned down, and therefore those tools should be covered by her insurance.
It also says in my agreement any inheritant material that was in the house was also mine.
You're talking about under miscellaneous?
Yes, I had things that were given to me by my deceased mother, and etc.
Mr. Gilbraith, don't pull my leg. Okay. The section that you're reading says the parties agree that each shall retain as his or own, free and clear of any claims of the other, all items of clothing and personal effects presently in his or her possession. The parties further acknowledge and agree that neither party shall have any enforcement rights to the other's inheritance or expectancies, and all future inheritances and expectancies shall remain the property of the inheritor, which means that if somebody dies in your family and leaves you money or property, she cannot claim any of that property. That has nothing to do with your power tools.
No, it has to do with quilts that were made by my mother and my grandmother.
You should have gotten them out before 2 years. Those were not power tools. You don't redo your son's room with quilts.
No, but that's things that she had stored.
Mr. Galbraith, this is a very simple case. You were divorced. At the time of your divorce, the judgment's divorce said all property that you each have in your individual possession belongs to each of you individually, free and clear of any claims by the other. You had the opportunity at the time of the divorce to include this list as property that was in the house that you intended to get back, that it was an agreement with the defendant that you would get back.
She knew
Very
that.
simple. I said including in the judgment of divorce. You did not do that. If you did not do that, you had no interest in any property in her home. Your case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm glad it's finally over.
I don't agree with it. She knows what she told me.
I think the decision was the proper decision.
I have to deal with what the judge says.
Hopefully this will end all the different full threats and court battles.
18-year-old college student Serena Simon and her boyfriend, Eric Copenhaver, are suing limousine company owners Mickey Arzaga and his brother Rudy for ruining their senior prom. The Arzaga brothers are countersuing for unpaid fees and damage to the limousine.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 507 on the calendar in the matter of Simon Copenhaver versus Arzaga. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
You were going to your prom?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Is that a high school prom?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
When was the prom?
Prom was on June 2nd.
And according to your complaint, you hired the defendant's company, which, is it both, the company belongs to both of you? You hired their limousine company to take a group of you to the various prom activities.
That's correct.
You were going to be ending up at the prom itself.
That's correct.
And according to your complaint, whatever limousine they sent for you turned out to be a disaster. It was late, they didn't know where they were going, as a result of which you missed your prom, and you want to be compensated. You want to be compensated for all the costs of your prom tickets, et cetera, and for any deposits that you gave to them. They said, well, this is really all your fault, and aside from that, you violated certain rules, you damaged the limousine, and they are counterclaiming. You made the initial call?
Uh-huh. About 2 weeks before prom, I called them to request a 14-passenger limousine for June 2nd, Tribeca Hills prom at the Yorba Linda Equestrian Center. Then I gave them the address where we were supposed to be picked up, and that was all. They didn't ask anything else, and that was it.
You told them that ultimate destination was the Yorba Linda Equestrian Center.
That's correct.
Is that where the prom was?
Prom was ended up being at its Yorba Linda Community Center.
But they had the Yorba Linda Equestrian Center. That's what
correct.
you gave them.
Uh-huh.
Now, come prom night, when were they supposed to pick you up?
6:30.
Did you receive any sort of a contract from them?
No.
And it is agreed that you're supposed to pick them up at 6:30.
Yes.
Did the limousine arrive there on time?
No.
Why not?
Because about 45 minutes prior to the actual pickup time, we had called and told them that we were going to be 45 minutes late because one of our previous engagements had run over. So we called them and we told them that we would give them an extra hour free on the back end of limousine service, and they agreed to that. And so.
Well, they had no choice at that point.
Well, no, but they agreed to it.
They had no choice at that point.
Right.
May I say something, Your Honor?
Just a second.
Okay.
So whether they agree to it or not, which is something that I doubt, because they're all dressed up and ready to go to the prom, and you call and say, we're going to be late because we didn't gauge our time properly, that's the wrong thing to happen. Absolutely. Now, did your driver actually get there 45 minutes late, or did your driver get there later than 45 minutes late?
Yes, 45 minutes late.
Is that right?
Well, actually, about 6:50, no limo would show up. We never got that phone call. 6:50 rolled around. I called Rudy, or I called the limo company. I believe I spoke to Mickey or Rudy. They said had no idea why she wasn't there. They would call her, call me back. They called back, said she was on a road that's relatively close to where we were supposed to be picked up. They said she should be there shortly. About 7:20 rolled around. She still wasn't there. So we called again. They said, okay, we will go send somebody to look for her. And they would call us back. They didn't call us back, but in about 10 minutes she showed up.
So she got there at what time?
At about 7:30.
Are you the driver?
Yes, I am.
Step up, please. Tell me your last name.
Arias.
Miss Arias, can you tell me why you were an hour late?
We were running the limousine for other people.
Where were you going?
They got a
Where were
ceremony in the
Where
church.
were the people that were occupying your limousine? Where were they at 6:30?
They were over a little, almost 30 minutes, so that's why we were.
I don't understand what you're telling me.
The other company, the other people that were in the limousine, the reason we were 45 minutes late, not an hour late, is
It was
because
not an hour.
the other party had, taken longer than they had originally told us. So that's why we called, and we called them.
She said you didn't call them.
We did
Who called them?
We did. Rudy did.
Who called them?
I did call.
You placed a call to them, or you called them back when they said she's not there?
I placed a call to them to tell them that we were going to be late.
Who did you speak to?
I spoke to one of the mothers. I'm not sure
I'm not sure her name, but one of the mothers answered the phone.
Well, this was a very important event. You folks were not doing the right thing at all. So whether you got there at 7:20 or 7:30, that's still an hour out of their time. Now, where were you scheduled to go at that point?
And next, we're going to a major restaurant about 15-20 minutes away in Irvine.
And did you have a reservation?
Yeah, we had to change it the whole time we were calling to find out when we were going to be picked up. So we changed our reservations till 8. We left at 7:30. It's only about 15-20 minutes to get there. She got lost on the way there, got off at the wrong exit.
Okay.
One of the people in our limousine actually lived in the area, so he helped direct the driver to the restaurant, and we got there eventually.
How long have you been driving?
More than a year.
How come you got lost?
I didn't get lost.
No? They said you got lost. How long did it take you to get to the restaurant?
25 minutes.
What time did you get to the
We
restaurant?
got there right before, about 7:55 or 8 o'clock, so it was no problem.
Fine.
On the way, actually, to the restaurant, we saw a man in the other car in a Lincoln Continental, and he was like yelling at our driver. We just thought it was somebody with road rage. Later, we found out that's one of the owners who, I guess, went to find the driver.
Who was lost?
Yes. So I guess she said, oh no. We figured out that it was the owner because she said, no, I'm going to go talk to the owner, and there was the angry man from the freeway.
She wasn't lost. The thing is that Rudy was in the area, so he basically to try
Went to look for her.
No, he was already in the area because he had finished another run. He was already in the area. He wanted to get them to the restaurant as quickly as possible because we were already 45 minutes late to start off, so we figured the best way to do it
Their
was
reservation was at 7 at the restaurant.
7:30.
It only takes like 15 to 20
second.
minutes to get there.
You were supposed to get picked up at 6:30. So I assume your reservation was at 7.
Exactly.
You were told that they wanted you there at 6:30, and your first stop was going to be at the restaurant.
Prior to taking pictures, which takes sometimes 20 minutes to take pictures.
They wanted to take pictures.
Sure, absolutely.
In the limousine.
At the house.
At the house in front of the limousine. I mean, they don't need you to take pictures unless they want to take pictures in the limousine.
But they need the extra time.
They need the
We
extra
have
time.
pictures because we took them before our pickup date.
They don't need you. All the people were there already, I assume, in one location. So they don't need you in order to take pictures, unless they wanted to take pictures around the limousine.
Exactly.
That's it.
Let me explain something to you. On your best day, you're not as smart as I am on my worst day. Okay? I can't tell you how many times I've waited for a car service, and I picked up the telephone, and they say, they're on the FDR Drive, but there's traffic over the 59th Street Bridge. But the idiots don't know that I live over the 59th Street Bridge. So I look outside, and there's no traffic. They're right around the corner. I said, right around the corner, I better run downstairs. They're 3 minutes away. And 20 minutes later, they're still not there. We don't understand it. I've been there. So they wanted you there a half hour early to take pictures of all of them around the limousine, which I assume they didn't get to do as they wanted to do it because you were so late. Right?
Exactly.
So far, I see your counterclaim shrinking.
Linda Simon and her boyfriend Eric Copenhaver are suing limousine company owners Mickey and Rudy Arzaga. Serena and Eric claim their driver picked them up late and then got lost on the way to their prom.
It is clear to me, based upon what you told me before, that you gave the defendants the wrong name of the place where the prom was to be held. Is that right?
Yes, it was Yorba Linda. We told them Yorba Linda Equestrian Center. It was at Yorba Linda Community Center, and
are those two places close by?
The Equestrian Center doesn't exist, so I'm not sure why they started driving if they had no idea where they were taking us.
Your Honor, can I say something? When Rudy called, or when Serena called and made the reservation, Rudy had explicitly explained to them exactly what we would need in order to get them to their prom, which was an address. Well, when the driver got there, asked for the address, they did not have one. When we got to the restaurant, we asked again. They still did not have one. So Rudy, going out of his way to be nice, because it's their prom night, had decided, okay, well, I'm going to call 411, just give me the name of the place. They had told Rudy Yorba Linda Equestrian Center. So Rudy called 411, And we all know that a lot of times 411 doesn't give the correct address. Well, they gave us an address, but it wasn't the Yorba Linda Equestrian Center because there is no Yorba Linda Equestrian Center.
So Rudy got, just a second, so Rudy got the wrong address.
Yes.
Next.
Then what I did is I got a hold of what's called a bid or an invitation that 5 couples received, and they were supposed to provide us.
Well, just a second. As a result of Rudy getting the wrong address, did he give that address to the driver? Rudy?
Yes.
You gave that address to the driver. You said, I'll take care of it and I'll give the address to the driver. So she takes the address and she starts driving.
Right.
Based upon instructions from you.
Mm-hmm.
And you're driving around for a long time? Madam?
Yes, I did.
Well, there are a couple of things that happened between the time they left the restaurant and got to the prom, because a couple of things that were happening throughout is that they were smoking, which they weren't supposed to, because they know that there were fines involved, but they continued to disobey
smoking in
our
the
policy. Smoking in the limousine. Right after they got in the limousine, right after the restaurant, they even stopped about 15 minutes at around 10 o'clock to smoke outside of a gas station or a 7-Eleven. So I don't think they were in that much of a hurry to get to the prom. And also at the very end of the prom, we got there at 11:20. The prom ended at 12. And right after they got back into the car to go home, then they started smoking again. I mean, we could take them home, but then, it was their prom, so we wanted to try to be a little flexible. We were 45 minutes late, so we figured, okay, well, we'll go ahead and
Show me
give
a
them.
signed contract that says no smoking.
What we have is our run sheet.
Show me a signed contract that says no smoking.
The only
in
thing we
limo.
have, they refused to sign anything.
That's what I'm asking you, sir. You have no
But
signed.
it was verbally...
Show me the signed contract where it says
It
no
was
smoking.
verbally mentioned to them when Rudy took the reservation. No, especially on proms, we have to say this. By law, we have to say no smoking, no drugs, no alcohol, because we could get our license pulled. And so they were told verbally many times.
When we got the limo, when it came to pick us up, there were still drinks and dirty cups and things in the back of the limo from the previous run.
Really?
There was alcohol in the
We
limo.
never got a contract.
Just a
We got
second. What kind of alcohol was in the limo?
We're not quite sure.
Just
There was
bottles.
just the glass
I'm not
bottles
sure.
and cups and things that are usually in there. There were sodas and things in the limo with us.
You mean dirty soda cups?
Well,
Some
like
of the
dirty
cups
glasses,
were
like
dirty.
napkins used and stuff.
Why didn't you clean the limo, madam?
That's not true.
I believe it.
The lemon was clean.
When did you stop to clean the limo?
At the restaurant.
Shh. When did you stop to clean the limo?
When I went to pick up them, before I clean up everything in the limo. We never pick up
Just a second. Before you went to pick them up. So you were 45 minutes late and you're telling me you stopped to clean up the limo before you went to get them?
That's why she was 45 minutes late. She was cleaning the vehicle.
Rudy!
Well,
Rudy!
that's why she's late.
Rudy!
Yes.
Don't be foolish. Your limo, according to you, arrived 45 minutes late. Their prom lasted until midnight. They wanted to be there at 10:30. You didn't get them there until 11:20. You don't get paid. Period.
Your Honor, can I say something?
Period. And they were smoking. They stopped for 15 minutes. If you're telling me, you said in your answer, they stopped for 15 minutes to smoke outside. Well, if they were smoking outside and they were smoking inside the limousine, there was a lot of smoking. Why would they smoke outside the limousine if they were violating the rules of
Because
smoking
they had to buy
inside?
some more cigarettes because they ran out.
Guide.
What?
She was purchasing a Thomas guide from
ran out
the
of
7-Eleven.
They ran out of cigarettes.
Just a second. Did you purchase a Thomas guide? Madam, do you understand what I'm saying? Did you purchase a map?
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
You don't understand the word map? You see what your problem is? That's part of your problem. Your driver was unable to communicate with the passengers. Please, just pay attention. There are certain tools in the trade. If you are a driver, then you know the word map. I'm not asking her about a colonoscopy. I'm saying the word map. Do you understand? Put your hand down. Driver understands the word map. I said it very, very clearly. What did you do?
Can I say something?
Yeah.
In the beginning, when I pick them, when they get out from the restaurant, I asked them for the address, if they have a map. And they said, no, we don't have map. And then I asked them for the address, and they said...
They don't get to go to the prom with a map.
No, Your Honor. Your Honor.
You get out of a restaurant, you get into the car. The driver of the car says, I don't know where we're going from here.
How can you...
So the 10 people that are in the back of the car says, listen, does anybody have the address? No. Let's see if we can call Mom. Maybe Mom has the address.
They never...
Maybe...
Sorry.
But that's not what happened, because when they came out of the restaurant, Rudy had already given her the address.
The incorrect address.
It was the address you got.
From 411.
From 411.
So
which
you
was
mean
the
they
incorrect
should be suing information?
No.
No.
Give me a break.
We're saying
Give me a break. The only issue that I have really in this case is you arrived late on a prom night. They missed half of their prom, and you have to suffer for that. And if you book them close, and once in a while you lose, like you did in this case, because your driver wasn't there on time, you have to be able to suck it up. That's all. And we shouldn't be in court because you have a business. And if you have a business, you shouldn't want to expose your business. To me, that is a very foolish thing, because they only have one prom. You got a lot of limousine nights. Now, you're suing for...
Your Honor, could I say one more thing?
No. $469 as your damages
It's
for prom expenses.
$461, because I found out the boutonniere wasn't as much as I thought. We got the receipt.
And you want your tux rental, your corsage, and your prom ticket back. Is that right?
That's correct.
We actually got there at 11:45.
And the prom, we missed the entire prom.
We just got there just to see what we missed and
They
take
close
pictures.
the doors at 10:30 and don't let anybody else in. And we arrived at 11:45 with 15 minutes left in prom, and
They don't
hardly
stop you when
got
you
in.
come there at 11:45 because everyone's starting to go outside where you're not supposed to go during prom. We got there at 11:20. They wouldn't have let us in. Got there at 11:45 because who goes to prom?
Where
at
did you go
11:45?
after the prom?
We went
sorry.
straight home.
Went straight home. We got lost on the way.
We went home.
to
They tried
prom.
to give us the contract once we got back home that we were supposed to get at the very beginning of the night and have us sign that, and we all refused.
We're not going
because
to sign when we're like
we
almost in
basically
tears.
wasted an entire night.
So
and
basically,
missed
they don't provide us
once
with
in
an
a
address,
lifetime.
which we don't know how to get to a location unless we have an address.
You're the professionals.
We asked them for an address. How do we know where they're
You
going?
are the professionals, sir. You don't, you keep wanting to get abused. You are the professionals. You're dealing with a bunch of high school kids who told you this is the address of the restaurant that we're going. Hey, this is the address of the restaurant that we're going to.
And we got there because they gave us an address.
An hour late.
But we got there.
An hour late.
Because we had someone who lived in Irvine.
An hour late. And then your driver, who should have said to you before the run, I don't have the second place where we're supposed to go. I have a feeling she doesn't know whether she's a foot or horseback. She starts going where Rudy told her to go. In any event, she gets there 15 minutes before the prom is over. You've, in effect, ruined their evening, and you're going to pay him $647. And as far as smoking in your limousine is concerned, suck it up.
Party's on shoes. You may step out.
They started the car, we started going somewhere, and we drove around for 2.5 hours.
It was all their fault for not giving us the correct address.
I mean, I'm not going to get to go back to a high school senior prom ever again.
Cigarette burns, probably about $900 worth of damage.
I was the one smoking in the limo, and I had one, and another girl had one cigarette. I don't know how we could do $900 worth of damage with 2 cigarettes.
You know, when we take, I guess, students out again in the future, we're going to be very careful to dot our I's and cross our T's.
We all went home basically in tears.
5-year-old nuclear power plant worker Scott Ladd is suing 40-year-old contractor Dell Lindquist for assaulting him outside a bar. Dell says Scott was harassing his girlfriend, and he put a stop to it.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 59 on the calendar in the matter of Ladd versus Lindquist. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Mr. Ladd, according to what I've read, sir, you went into a tavern and you had half a dozen beers, maybe 4 or 5, ordered a large pizza to go, and as you were exiting the tavern, there was some sort of an altercation with the defendant. Then you claim outside he assaulted you seriously. Is that right?
That's correct.
His ultimate defense is there was some sort of a verbal altercation. You bet him $20 that you could whip his butt, and you did. That's your defense. So that it was a fair fight outside. That's your defense.
It was a
that you won the bet.
No, I haven't been paid.
That was cute, Mr. Lindquist. We'll see. All right, Mr. Ladd, had you ever seen this gentleman before?
Just as a patron of the bar,
What time did you arrive at the bar?
approximately 7 o'clock,
And what time did this assault take place?
9:30.
So you were there for about 2.5 hours.
That's correct.
So what happened when they give you your pizza, you pay your tab, and you start to walk out?
Well, it's very busy as I'm going through the crowd. Supposedly, I bumped in to his girlfriend, which was sitting on a bar stool in the aisleway to go out the door. Supposedly, Mr. Lindquist confronted me about...
Not supposedly. Listen, stop with the supposedly. You tell me what you remember of that evening.
I remember
Did you,
Mr.
did you
Lindquist
remember
confronting
poking
me.
her with the box, with the pizza box?
I don't recall that because it was so busy. I probably bumped several people basically going through the crowd. There was a small aisleway to walk through.
What did he say to you?
I can't recall his exact words, but he confronted me about poking his girlfriend with the pizza box. He threatened me with ripping my throat out.
That's a threat. Go ahead.
At that point there, I exchanged words of the mouth, so I told him to back off, and there was some adjectives that were basically said.
By you?
Yes.
Okay. And did you continue to leave?
At that point, yes, I did.
He hadn't put his hands on you at that point?
No.
You walk out the front door. How far did you get? Was there a parking lot outside?
I was parked on the far end. This is a strip mall.
And were you at your car when this assault took place?
No, I was walking down the sidewalk.
And tell me what you recall.
What I recall is being hit in the back of the head, very hard. I thought it was a beer bottle. I have a medical report.
Then what happened? I'll look at all your reports in a minute.
I was on the ground. The defendant was on top of me. He struck me several times in the side of the head. I put my hands up, tried to defend myself. That's when the individual basically bit on to my right finger. As the individual was biting me, with the pain and the shock and everything else, I was grabbing his face, trying to make him to stop.
But you were on the ground?
That is correct, with him
Go
on
ahead.
top of me.
Go ahead.
At that point, somebody, if I recall, yelled that the police are coming. The individual let go of my finger at that point and struck me several other times in the side of the head again and got up and ran into the bar.
What happened when the police arrived?
Because this was a bar brawl, from what they call it, they stated if I wanted to press charges on the incident. At first, I said, yes, I do. The individual, which was the officer, explained to me that because there was no witnesses and this was mutual combatant and they're part of what they considered.
Why, had they interviewed the defendant?
Well, there was another police officer inside the restaurant interviewing him.
Okay, go ahead.
They stated that they would have to put us in detox for 72 hours.
Because you were drunk?
I was not drunk at the time. I have my witness which will state how much alcohol I consumed within the 2.5 hours to my body weight of 225 pounds at 6'2".
How many beers did you have?
I believe it was 4.
Okay.
The officer stated that to the fact that he would have to charge both of us with assault.
So that you decided not to proceed?
Because of the 72 hours, I am an instrumentation and control specialist at a nuclear generating power plant. I was scheduled to run certain tests. I could not afford not to be there.
So you decided not to press
That
charge?
is correct.
Okay. Can I see your medical reports, please?
Sure.
When did you go to the hospital?
My sister-in-law picked me up that night. These are my medical records. Would you like the expenses also now?
Not yet. Did you get any police reports?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to have them too, please. Thank you, Bert. Now I'd like to hear your version of the events.
Well, Mr. Ladd was walking out of the bar.
What time did you arrive at the bar?
9 p.m.
Your girlfriend was with you?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I asked him, are you leaving so soon? And he had said yes, and unless Kathy will buy me a beer, as he had his pizza box and poked her in the back. And didn't like what he was doing, and I says for him to stop that. He made a foul-mouthed remark that I don't care to repeat.
Well, repeat it.
He said he effed her in the and not to worry about it.
Right.
And that's when I made the comment that I'll bet you 20 bucks that I'll take you outside and kick your butt. And he walked around the corner and stood where the waitresses stand and motioned me like, well, come on, are we going to do this? And I followed him around, and he walked down
Why did you do that? He's gone. He's leaving.
He's motioning me and egging me on, and he had bet me.
No. He didn't bet you. You bet him.
Well, he agreed to the bet.
Go ahead.
Got out the door, walked down he walked down at least 50 feet.
Right,
And
so
I'm
he's leaving.
He's leaving.
And his back is towards you.
No.
Well, his back has to be towards you, sir, unless he was walking backwards.
No, he was making remarks
His
as
back has to be towards you as he's walking, sir,
he
because...
was turned sideways.
So he's walking sideways, like
Walking
a crab.
sideways. Walking sideways, talking to me.
All right,
or
go ahead.
Saying bad words. He sets his pizza box down and invites me on. Are we going to get this done? When we first came together, he reached out and he grabbed me by the face as we were standing face to face, shoulder to shoulder. And
You weren't
started,
standing shoulder to shoulder with him.
No, I wasn't. But
No, you weren't standing shoulder to
square shoulder to shoulder, square shoulders to square
Right.
shoulders. Reached out, grabbed me by the face.
Why? Why?
I don't know. I just imagine that to be face to face.
Well,
Face to neck. Go ahead.
and he kind of grabbed my face to where I couldn't really get near him. We were going to fight. He grabbed inside my mouth and underneath my chin and started pulling me to the ground. And whether I bit him or he got cut on my teeth on the way down, I just happened to come out on top.
Says he was assaulted by Del Lindquist after exchanging words with him in a bar. Del says when Scott insulted his girlfriend, he beat him up.
Which one of you ladies was present during the course of this altercation?
I was.
Can you step up, please? Tell me your name.
My name is Lisa.
Lisa what?
Lisa Tyson.
Ms. Tyson, do you work at the tavern?
Yes, I do.
What kind of work do you do there?
I'm a bartender.
You know both of these gentlemen?
Yes, I do.
You ever had any difficulty with the plaintiff at the bar?
No, I haven't.
You ever had any problem with the defendant before at the bar?
Yes, I have. I've witnessed him making verbal remarks to other customers that would talk to his girlfriend.
Like what?
He told this other guy who was talking to his girlfriend that he wanted to rip his throat out.
He likes to say that. Clearly.
I guess. But then I immediately went over there and confronted the situation, and I warned Del that if he decided to fight in the bar or in the parking lot, he will be 86'd out of the bar for good.
Did you hear any interaction between the two of these gentlemen?
No, I didn't.
Did you wait on Mr. Ladd that evening?
Yes, I did.
Do you recall how much alcohol he consumed?
He had about 4 beers.
Have a seat. Thank you very much. You have any other witnesses that you want me to hear, sir?
Yes, I do. I'd like to have the manager of the bar step up.
Tell me your name.
Deb Miles.
Miss Miles, did you witness any part of this incident?
I was not outside. I did not see that. I was chatting with Kathy, Dell's girlfriend, and another gal.
This is girlfriend.
Right. Next thing I knew, a waitress from the dining room came out and said that there was a fight going on outside.
So you really didn't see anything?
I did not see that, no.
What did you want her to testify to?
I don't want to testify for her, but Kathy, Dell's girlfriend, knew nothing of this incident. She can support that claim for me.
Oh,
just
a second. Did you ask her what they were doing outside?
I asked her if she knew they were outside.
And what did she say?
She said no. And then she wanted to go outside. And I said, no, you have to stay in here, Kathy. You've been drinking. Don't go out there. Just stay out of it.
Was she drunk?
She did quite a few, in my opinion. I didn't personally serve her, so I don't know for sure.
Did she say anything about anybody doing anything untoward to her that evening?
No, no. We were just chatting, and the next thing we knew, this fight was going on. So we didn't hear any argument, anything like that.
Step up. What's your last name?
Dubé.
What do you remember?
I didn't see nothing outside, but I do remember him walking by.
He walked by, and what happened?
He said to him, leaving so early, he said, yes, I've had too much to drink. I'm going to take my pizza and me home. Unless Kathy wants to buy me a drink, poke me in the back. And it was real crowded. And I was talking to the manager, Michelle, on the right hand of me, and Debbie was down a chair from me.
Right.
And then I just started talking to Michelle, and then all of a sudden I heard him telling him to quit poking me in the back. And then as he was walking away, that's when he said what he did to me.
Which was?
I don't want to say it.
Well, I'd like to hear what you
I just
heard him
heard
say.
it. It just,
Really? Well, that's a nasty thing to say.
Yeah.
Did you think he was drunk?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Were you drunk?
No, I probably had 3 beers.
3 beers in a half hour?
2?
Maybe 3?
I just got there.
Well, maybe 3 beers in a half hour. And what about Mr. Lindquist? What did he have to drink?
We probably had 2.
Maybe 3. Well, the officer indicates that both suspects were intoxicated, and the effects of alcohol was very obvious on both of them.
Can I make a comment related to that?
Sure.
After being struck in the head several times and with what I believe with a beer bottle.
Did you see a beer bottle, by the way, when this altercation was over?
I did not know.
Okay. So it's possible that you were just hit on the back of the head with a fist. It's possible.
That's possible.
Doesn't make any difference. The medical records indicate that you were injured that evening. And injured
I don't want to interrupt you, but with the injury I sustained in my finger, you know, and the shock and the trauma and everything that was going on, if the officer smelled alcohol on my breath, was establishing 4 beers over a 2.5-hour period.
Doesn't make any difference, sir. I have to believe, Mr. Ladd, that the defendant, without provocation, assaulted you, and without provocation, rendered you, because of your larger stature, rendered you sort of in a position where he could, in fact, assault you, which was somehow getting you to the ground, because you are a larger stature than he is, and that would be smart. Now, being smart would render you on the ground as a result of being either hit in the back of the head with a fist or with something else. Not the way Mr. Lindquist indicates, because the officer nowhere in his report, sir, indicates that you have any scratches or marks on your face. That's really surprising if this assault took place, Mr. Lindquist, the way you indicated.
I have a police report that states that I have scratches.
Let me see. Suspect 1 had minor scratches or scrapes on his face. Suspect 2 possessed open wounds on his fingers and a slight laceration to his forehead. Mr. Lindquist, did you ever hear the expression when you were growing up, sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt me?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you've had trouble with people talking to your girlfriend before in the bar, according to the bar people.
Yes, Your Honor.
So this isn't an unusual occurrence to you. If you don't want people to talk to your girlfriend, sir, keep her in your apartment. Because if you take her to a bar where people sometimes get a little high, a little happy, and they may say something either in a polite vein or in a seductive vein, or sometimes, according to you, totally inappropriate things. If I believe what you attribute to him, it was totally inappropriate. But the reaction, especially if you know or believe that someone is intoxicated, you believed he was intoxicated, right, Kathy?
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Yes.
Then you just let it rest. Then I have to believe that he egged you on. Well, I don't believe that at all. I believe that the guy's taking his pizza and he's going home. He's out of there. You decided to follow him outside, which you did. And I believe that in order to get him in a vulnerable position, you hit him from behind.
In the forehead.
You hit him from behind. If you hit him from behind in the forehead, that's sort of like that. That doesn't happen, does it? You know,
Only
you sort
in
of,
the movies.
Only in the movies. Only if you have very long arms. So you assaulted him. And you hurt him. And you have to pay. Period. And if you can't hold your liquor, don't drink. What were your medical expenses, sir?
I have a report. I do have insurance.
What's your out-of-pocket?
My out-of-pocket is $526.44. They have me on prescriptions yet, anti-inflammatories, to try to still get the swelling down in my finger. At this point...
Can I see your finger, please? Step up. You still have no feeling in the finger?
The finger is totally numb to light touch. The medical report...
Step back.
Sorry.
May I add something, Your Honor?
Just a minute, he's not finished yet. Then you can add whatever you like.
Okay.
You still have no feeling in the tips of your finger.
That's correct. I have lost the movement to totally squeeze my fingers all together. The doctor, last I seen, said if the swelling goes down over time and with these prescriptions, that it may go back.
Okay. Yes, now you wanted to say something.
Well, if I would jump him from behind, isn't that assault and battery? Wouldn't, you know, if I'm walking out in the parking lot and somebody jumps me from behind and the police come, I think I'm going to make a report or have him arrested, you know, because people
Sure,
do.
unless you're inside with the other police officer who you spoke to that evening. Is that right?
Yes.
And I assume you gave him the same cock and bull story you gave me. The way you indicated that you were standing shoulder to shoulder to him and he put his fingers in your face, and so that's
Well,
how
he
you
set
bit
his
his finger.
pizza box down first.
What?
He set his pizza box down first. And if somebody got jumped from behind, don't you think there'd be pizza all over the place?
There
too?
might be. Where is there an indication that there wasn't? Where is there an indication
Wouldn't
that...
you think he'd want to be paid for his pizza too?
Are you kidding me or what?
No, I'm not kidding you. I'd be mad if
You
somebody...
got a hot temper.
If somebody knocked me down from behind and knocked my $20 pizza on the ground at the same time, and the police showed up, I would definitely file some charges here.
Well, he wanted to file charges, sir, but you told the police that this was a fight, a barroom brawl, that he actually started with you. He actually put his hands on you first. That's what you told me.
That is
That you
correct.
turned around shoulder to shoulder after you followed him out of the bar, and he took his hand and put it in your face, and probably as a result of the heavy pushing, he fell on top of you, and that's how he ended up on the ground, and probably on the weight of you both going down and his finger in your mouth, that's how his finger got lacerated, requiring medical treatment and stitches. That's what you told me.
Yeah, I grabbed his
Judgment for the
finger.
plaintiff in the amount of $5,000 as requested. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
How a guy can lie and say that I jumped him from behind and get away from that.
That's not in my character at all to make a statement like that to any woman or anybody.
He said he was ready to go at it. There was no jumping from behind.
I'm 35 years old. I'm a professionally employed male. I'm in no position to basically risk my job.
I like to do things the old country way. You go out in the barn and you
And Irene Thomas and her daughter, 14-year-old Georgiana Hilaire, are suing cashier Charlene Smith and her son, 14-year-old Thomas Gray. Georgiana says while horsing around at school, Thomas severely injured her back.
Order. All rise. Now, this is case number 539 on the calendar in the matter of Thomas Hilaire versus Smith Gray. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
You're Georgiana?
Yes.
And this is your mother?
Yes.
I'd like your mother to sit down, please. You Miss Smith?
Yes, I am.
And this is your son?
Yes.
Why don't you have a seat, because I'll bring you up later if we need your testimony. How old are you?
14.
It is your complaint through your mother that you suffered a serious back injury in school as a result of an incident involving the defendant.
Yes.
When did this happen?
September 11th.
And you were in school?
Yes.
Were you inside the school?
Yes.
Tell me what happened.
My mom dropped me off. I got out of the car, went to the gated area, and I waited for my friends to get there. So my friend showed up a couple of minutes later, and then he showed up.
Did you know Thomas from before?
Yes.
Were you friends?
We'll socialize, but not friends.
What do you mean you socialized?
Like, just talk if we have a class together.
So you did speak to him?
Yeah.
Never had any trouble with him?
No.
Okay. So then Thomas showed up.
He was picking on another girl before he picked on me.
What do you mean he was picking on somebody?
Like, pushing her and, like, hitting her.
In a fooling around way?
Yeah. He told her that he was going to pick on her, and then she said, no, you're not. And then he said, okay, well, I'm going to pick on Georgie then.
Okay. And that didn't bother you because you knew he was fooling around?
Yes.
So when he said, I'm going to pick on Georgie, what, did he do anything?
He started hitting me.
Where did he hit you?
Right here and like this.
Well, I want you to tell me whether he was hitting you or just...
Slapping.
Was he laughing, smiling?
Smiling.
And you?
I was laughing at first.
So you were laughing at first. So you knew he wasn't hurting you. It was just fooling around.
Yeah.
Okay. Keep going.
And then we were walking to first period, and he was still hitting me.
When you say he was still hitting you, how was he hitting you?
Slapping me.
Where?
Like on the arm and right here, like this. And we got to the building, we're inside, and I finally got the nerve to hit him back with my backpack.
Tell me how you did that.
I swung around twice, and I didn't get him the first time, but I got him the second time, I think around the below stomach area. I guess that made him mad, I don't know.
and then I turned around to just get away from him, and I thought he would quit, and so I turned around to go get a drink of water.
Let's stop there for a moment. Up until that time, it was really just messing around, wasn't it?
Yes.
Up until that time, he was really messing around with you. Wasn't hurting you. You were fooling around because you certainly were with enough people so that you could have said to them, somebody help me, he's hurting me. He wasn't hurting you, right?
No.
And you didn't intend to hurt him when you swung at him with the backpack. You were messing around.
Yes.
When you swung the first time and missed, did you say anything to him or did he say anything to you?
No.
Were you smiling when you swung around and hit him?
Yes.
Were you smiling when you swung around and hit him again?
Yes.
Keep going. So then you went over to get a drink of water.
And I turned facing this way, and he was like to this chair, and then he put his foot against the wall, and he kneeled down. And then next thing I know, took off, and I thought he was just joking. He was going to stop. And I landed on my behind, and all I remember is crying.
Just a second. Wait a second. So he pushed you.
Yes.
And you fell and landed on your behind.
Yes.
And you hurt your back.
Yes.
And that's what this case is all about, the injuries that you sustained as a result of falling on your backside. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. You want to say anything?
Well, I didn't intentionally mean to push her, but I did not come down in the football position. Just when she swung her backpack, I dodged it and gave her a little touch, and she fell.
Well, you pushed her.
Yeah.
But everything else that we've talked about so far this morning, Thomas, is about accurate. You were messing around?
Yeah, for like a minute, but then I left.
You were messing around with her?
Yeah.
And then by tapping her, slapping her, whatever. But it was, nobody was angry.
No, it wasn't tapping or slapping like that.
What were you doing?
Like just talking.
You didn't put your hands on her?
No. I like put my hand on her shoulder.
Well, that's what we're talking about. You put your hand on her shoulder.
Yeah.
Didn't punch her.
No.
Didn't slap her in the face.
No, ma'am.
Right?
No.
Didn't punch you.
No.
Now the mothers can stand up. So your daughter was injured.
Yes.
Tell me how she was injured.
She was transported from the school to the nearest hospital near the school. We spent about 8 hours in that hospital before we finally found out by them doing an MRI and an X-ray that she had crushed her T12. I don't know how much you know about medicals, but it takes a lot of force to crush a vertebrae in your back.
Was she in a brace?
After we were at that first hospital for the first 8 hours, it was decided because of her age and the seriousness of the injury that it was best for her to go to a children's hospital, which was a 45-minute drive, which she had to take by ambulance again. We arrived there at 2 o'clock in the morning. They measured her for a full-body brace that went from here to here, had a front plate and a back plate, Velcroed on the side.
And how long did she remain in that cast?
For 3 months. But, Your Honor, I also want to stress that because it happened on September 11th, the incident, she was measured for the brace the next day, but because the planes were grounded after September 11th incident in New York, the brace had to come from Michigan, so she had to lay in a hospital bed for 6 days, living on morphine because they couldn't come until a week later. Excuse me.
You okay now?
She had to, she could not be out of bed without the brace. She couldn't take a shower for 3 months. I had to sponge bathe her every day. Anytime she needed to go to the bathroom, I had to put the brace on her and help her to the restroom. Plus, I was working full-time still, taking care of my daughter with a broken back.
Georgiana Hilaire says classmate Thomas Gray injured her back while horsing around at school.
Don't you believe that your daughter bears any responsibility for this at all? I'm not excusing this young man's behavior in pushing her, the fact that she fell, but they were messing around. She hit him first.
No,
There's no question. Yes, she did. According to her own testimony, he was at most, I learned a word here, mushing. What's mushing? Didn't you tell me what mushing was when you sort of go like this?
Right.
Right?
Nudge.
It's kind of nudging. That's what he was doing to her. And even according to her, it didn't hurt her. She was smiling. He was smiling. She was with a bunch of kids. She wasn't in danger. He hadn't hit her. She hit him with her backpack. And she swung several times with her backpack. That's not excusing what happened. I mean, he could have walked away. Probably should have walked away, right?
Yes, ma'am.
This was not an assault. This was kids fooling around on their way to class. And unfortunately, one of them got seriously injured. Were you suspended from school?
I was expelled for 2 semesters.
What about you?
I was out of school for 3 months.
Was your son arrested for assault?
No, ma'am.
Of course not, because this wasn't an assault. So what I want to know now is, what were your out-of-pocket expenses with regard to this
I have
unfortunate
copies
incident?
of the medical bills.
No, I want to know what your out-of-pocket expenses were. I assume you have insurance.
Yes.
Good. So what were your out-of-pocket expenses for her medical care, not your work loss or anything else?
I didn't calculate any of that, and I haven't paid any of the bills yet because there was a problem with the insurance.
So you don't know?
No.
So I can't tell what your medicals will be, if any. It may be that the insurance is going to cover everything. You have to know that you were partially responsible.
I know.
Good. I'm glad you know that. What responsibility do you believe, if any, that you have to compensate the plaintiff for the injury she sustained?
Well, I think it was all an accident and that it could have been prevented, but I wasn't thinking at the time. Like, I apologized to her, and I really regret for what I did, but if I can take it back, I would.
You didn't mean to hurt her, did you?
No, ma'am.
How long had your son been in that school?
The beginning of September, the school.
Did you just start that school?
Yes.
Yeah.
Your Honor, they were in school 6 days when this happened.
Yeah, a
Okay,
couple
but
of weeks.
was this the first year that you were in that school?
Yes, ma'am.
You were just starting high school?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and as a result of that, you were expelled for 2 semesters.
Yes, ma'am.
That's his punishment. And you're back in the school now.
Yes, ma'am.
Sometimes when you fool around, one person gets injured more than another. That doesn't mean a lawsuit. Your case is dismissed. That's it.
Thank
Parties
you,
are
Your Honor.
excused. You may step out.
Unfortunately, like Judge Judy said, someone got hurt.
I've been struggling with this ever since it happened on September 11th.
Horseplay, not the thing to do.
Playing around is not playing around when somebody gets hurt as badly as she did.
I'm very sorry that it happened.
Danielle Henry is suing her former roommate, 22-year-old waitress Nancy Goss, for damages to her apartment caused by Nancy's Chihuahua.
Miss Henry, according to your complaint, the defendant became your roommate. She moved in with a dog. It's her boyfriend's dog, a little Chihuahua. I assume you're not roommates anymore, is that right?
No, ma'am.
And you claim that her dog destroyed your carpet. You want her to reimburse you for the carpet. She said you had a dog too, and the dogs were equally responsible for the damaged carpet. When did she move in with you, Miss Henry?
It was in June 2001.
And you have a dog?
Yes, I do.
What kind of a dog do you have?
It's a Chihuahua as well. It's a 4-year-old Chihuahua, ma'am.
And you were bringing your boyfriend's dog?
Yes, ma'am, because of her Chihuahua.
Okay, what kind of damage do you allege her dog did to your carpet?
Her dog chewed a hole in her bedroom in which she already knew about and cleaned up and didn't tell me about.
Chewed a hole?
Yes, ma'am. I have pictures.
All right.
Pictures of the carpet, pictures of the dog, pictures of other damages the dog's done.
I have better pictures if you'd like to see.
I'm not interested in seeing all the doggy pictures, although they're adorable, but I'm really busy today. Are these the only, is this the damage that you're talking about just on one page?
As far as the carpets, ma'am?
Yeah, as far as the carpets.
We also have the lawn that was destroyed, and my stereo cables were also chewed up. Boxes and...
Did you replace them?
She did. Her fiance, Brandon, did.
So we're only talking about carpet?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I'm looking at the carpet. And how do you know her dog did this damage?
Ma'am, her dog was a puppy, and when it first moved in, it was really young and didn't destroy anything, but eventually it started to destroy things through the month of August and September. I confronted Miss Goss about this, about the damages, and that she needed to replace them, and that the dog would need to be contained when we're not home, being that the damages continued, and that's when she assaulted me.
Did I ask a question there that she answered?
I don't know if she ever really got to it.
How do you know her dog did the damage instead of both of your dogs doing the damage?
I lived in the apartment for a year before Miss Goss lived there, and there was no holes in the rugs ever, and my dog has never done anything as far as damages. I also lived in another apartment, which I got my full and complete deposit back, so my dog never destroyed anything there as well.
Okay, did your dog eat up the carpet?
No.
Make little holes in the carpet?
No, there's no way possible. I mean, it's just unreal. I mean, 'cause he's never...
let's go back. Let's go back a second. All right. Of course, there's a way possible.
Well, yeah.
One of the holes that I saw in this book, in her scrapbook of dog, was in your bedroom.
Yes, ma'am.
When you moved into the bedroom, I assume there was not a hole in the carpet.
Yes, ma'am.
And when you moved out, there was a hole in the bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, she must have at some point told you or had a discussion with you about the hole in the bedroom carpet.
No.
She never had a discussion with you about the hole in the bedroom carpet?
Your Honor, that's a lie.
No, it's not.
Just don't
ma'am.
Well, what was the argument about on September 10th?
Me and my fiance just got back from uptown. She was in the kitchen. We recycled, and I came walking in, and she was like, "Hercules chewed up my computer wires," and I'm like, "Well, Danielle, you know, if he did that, then I would replace them." And she kept on and on and on and on. I was like, "Danielle, leave it alone."
No. Just a second. Listen to me. She said that your dog destroyed the computer, chewed the computer wires, and you said, "My boyfriend will replace them." So I assume you knew that it was true, because when you have a little dog, that's what I have, you see where their favorite spots are to go. So you've probably seen your dog chewing on wires. Right.
Wires, not
wires.
carpet.
So you probably knew that your dog did that kind of damage. Then you said she went on and on and on and on and on. I want to know what the on and on and on and on was. That's the important part.
You need to lock up Hercules.
Okay.
Didn't ask. If she would have asked, it would have been fine. But she did not ask. She is very demanding. That's how she wants it done. It's her way or no way.
Okay.
All
Now,
she had to do was ask.
Was this the first time she had asked you or told you that your dog had destroyed something in the house?
No.
No. So she had told you that the dog had done other damage in the house?
To wires.
To wires. But when you came home on this day, she said, again, your dog was at the wires. And this time it was to what kind of system?
It was a stereo.
Stereo system.
And a laptop cord.
All right. So then she was saying to you, you have to contain the dog, because it was not the first time that the dog had caused damage. And then there was an altercation, some sort of. And then you moved out, I assume, in September?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you get any sort of an estimate on putting a patch there?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was it?
Oh, I'm sorry, not as far as a patch. Miss Goss tried to patch the carpet, in which she spoke with the landlord about that. And so when that wouldn't work, that's when she decided that it could have been either dog.
Oh, so you
May I
did...
say something?
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am. I have it in her letter.
Hold it.
I have it in her letter, ma'am.
So you knew about the carpet, Miss Goss, and you spoke to the landlord about patching it?
Okay, this is the situation.
Just
None of
answer
the
my
carpet.
question. Just answer my question. You knew about the carpet, and you discussed with the landlord
About patching it.
about patching
Yes.
it. And did you try to patch it?
He said that the landlord's wife, said that Danielle preferred to have new carpet while staying there. I asked him again. I said, "Can we patch it?" He said, "It can be done, but I'd rather not."
Not patch it?
Not patch it.
Then you got to replace it. Period. I mean, I know what we're doing here. I initially thought when I looked at these papers, well, how can you tell what damage is caused by what dog? This was in your bedroom. You clearly at some point acknowledged that it was your dog's fault because you went to the landlord and said, "Look, I'll fix it, I'll patch it."
We were talking about both patches, not just the bedroom.
I'm
or
just
not
talking about the bedroom. I'm discarding the living room. I saw the living room, the tear in the living room. And who knows, maybe your dog started it and her dog went over. It's like, well, that might be a good idea. I'd like a little taste of that, too. That's a possibility, but certainly not in your bedroom. What's the cost of the new carpeting in her bedroom, former bedroom only?
The landlord just gave us the estimate for the complete and full bedroom, living room.
The
It's all one
whole
rug.
apartment is being replaced.
No, that's, well,
with
she's
the
not going to pay for that.
677.
She's not going to pay for that. How large is your bedroom?
What would you say? I'm not good with
About a 12 by 12.
12 by 12. So he says.
All right, so probably your bedroom, considering the cost of this carpet, which is not really high-quality carpet for all of those rooms.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so it's probably not more than $150. Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It was destroying things when we weren't home, and that it was my things and not hers.
You can get a lot farther with people if you just ask them nicely to do something instead of demanding it.
She threw me up against the wall and choked me, and she's a good bit bigger than I am.
I asked her to leave it alone. I told her to back down.
It was quite frightening, and I gave her 30 days to move out at that point.
It's just on and on. They were always arguing about the dog, so I'm glad it's all through with.
30-year-old receptionist Jeannie Dent is suing her son, 19-year-old salesperson Brandon Bowen, for the value of a car she helped him buy. Brandon is countersuing also for the value of the car.
Order. All rise. Yes, case number 138 on the calendar in the matter of Dent versus Bowen. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, folks. Have seats.
All right, this is a strange little tale. Let me see if I can put it in perspective. Miss Dent, the defendant is your son.
Yes.
According to your complaint, there came a time when he wanted to buy a car. You thought it was a good deal. You paid for the car with the understanding that he would pay you back.
Yes.
At the time that the car was purchased, he did not have a driver's license, and the car was not supposed to be driven. It is your claim he did not pay you for the car. To make a long story a little bit shorter, anyway, there came a time when your son was incarcerated. He says that when he was released from jail, that he delivered by messenger a money order. You have not cashed the money order. In the meantime, he says that you made arrangements for the police to be involved. The police impounded the car. There were impound fees of almost $900. So you're suing him for the cost of the car. He's suing you for the cost of the car, plus the impound fees. Is that pretty much the story?
Pretty much.
Now, when was the car purchased?
It was March 3rd was the day that he called me, and it was indeed a good deal.
How much was the car?
When he called me on the phone, it was $100. When I got there, it had gone up to $150 after I had come back from the bank.
$150?
Right.
Is that what you paid for the car?
No, I paid $120.
Well, could somebody explain to me why then you people have filed a lawsuit? You want $1,500 for this car?
Well, that's the value of the car.
Get that out of your head. You paid $120. That's what he was supposed to pay you back. Is that right?
Right.
Did you pay your mother back?
Yes, Your Honor, I did.
Show me. Your husband received payment for the car, money order. Why didn't you cash it?
My boyfriend received that. I was
Boyfriend?
Yeah, and I wasn't home at the time.
Do you live there?
Yes.
Why didn't you cash the money order?
Because he didn't make me aware of it. The first I knew that there was a money order there was the day the police showed up to my house when he was claiming auto theft.
You mean you don't speak to your boyfriend?
Well, I work, he goes to school. There are days when we don't have words, yeah.
Well, but now you know about it, so where's the money order?
I have it.
Well, why don't you cash it then? You would have been paid. Now you know that he paid you on time.
Because there's a lot more to the story than that.
Just a minute. One thing at a time. He paid, as a matter of fact, the money order was for $151. So cash the money order and then you've been paid. That was your agreement with him, correct?
Right.
Fine.
He was supposed to pay for that car by April 2nd. It was to stay at my house parked. He had stolen license plates from Mike's Pinto and had put them on this car so he could drive it.
Well, that was terrible.
It was.
You shouldn't have done that.
Your Honor.
You shouldn't have driven the car. You had no license.
That's right.
Right?
Correct.
So, and that breached your agreement with your mother, right?
No, actually, my mother gave me permission to borrow the car.
Listen to me.
I'm sorry.
You have no license. Your mother cannot grant dispensation from state law which says you require a license to drive. So there may be a lot more to it, but bottom line is you lent him money for the car. That's what you were suing him for, not $1,500, because that's not what the car cost. And he's paid you.
So
you got your money back. Cash the money order.
Your Honor.
Now let's get to your counterclaim.
I think it's pertinent to address the issue of this whole reason she kept the car came and took the car from me and kept it. I got out of jail May 30th. The money wasn't originally due until April 2nd. She took the car, knew I didn't get paid until April 1st, took the car because I came forward and confessed that I knew that she asked me to help her plant drugs on my stepfather for a paternity case that she was losing, or felt she was losing.
Excuse me?
There is a custody issue with her and my stepfather.
Yes.
Over my brother.
How old is your brother?
He is 4 years old now.
Go ahead.
She asked me to help her get a stolen gun originally for her boyfriend, supposedly, that couldn't own a gun. And I said, why would he want a stolen gun? If he gets caught with it, it's even worse. So I said, what are you trying to do? She said, Richard's, her husband, ex-husband, is winning the case. She feels he's wrongly winning. Help me get something that's a felony so I can get him to lose. And I helped her, and I'm ashamed of that.
How did you help her?
I called a friend that could help her get some drugs. And
What kind of drugs?
methamphetamines.
And what'd you do with them?
They were delivered to her house. She paid for them.
Delivered to her house?
Yes. I called her the next day and said, I feel wrong about this. I can't send him to jail. I've gone to jail for stuff that I didn't do because of you. I don't want him to go to jail for this. And I came forward and told him. And she held the car against me, telling my brother, tell Brandon if he changes a statement in court that this is all a lie, that I didn't really do this, then I'll give your car back. And I haven't done so. And I located my car, went there to have it towed out of her witness's yard because I paid her for the money and extra money. I paid her the $25 she filed on me. She wanted me to repay her that. She told me, change your statement, pay me $150, which is $25 more than you actually owe me because I filed on you. It cost me $25, so pay me that.
Filed on you for what?
For the car.
You mean when she filed in small claims court?
Yeah, she wanted me to pay her that $25 back.
The fee?
Yeah, and I called the tow truck, went to go repossess my car out of the yard after it was paid for. The tow truck guy said that she won't let me on her property. I left, came back like 20 minutes later. The tow truck guy was pulling it out, said Stephanie told me to impound it as soon as I left. So they deliberately, out of spite, had it towed when I was there to remove it like 20 minutes before. This is all because I won't lie and say that she didn't do this.
Jeannie Dent says her son, Brandon Bowen, owes for the value of a car. Brandon says his mother asked him to frame her ex-husband.
Where's your $120 car?
It is at my house. I got it out of impound. I don't want the money for the car. I just wanted my car back, and I just wanted.
You have it now.
Yeah, I just wanted her to pay for the damages. She kept, the lady that had the car, her witness, kept the key. The impound people had to unlock the door and take the ignition out, and all that has to be replaced. I have estimates how much that's going to cost.
Well, how much is it going to cost?
It's going to cost, just for the locks, not including the ignition, all the locks from Chet's Locksmith is going to be $367.
Forget it. Let me explain something to you.
Okay.
I'm not giving you, sir, 3 times the cost of the car to put in a new lock.
I don't want the process of the car. I just.
But you understand me? The whole car cost $120.
Yeah.
You think that I'm going to order her to pay $300 and how much?
27.
$27 to put in a new lock? Forget it.
Okay.
Bottom line is, you got your money, you got your car.
Correct.
You don't like each other anymore.
I love my mom.
Well, it certainly doesn't sound like it to me. What were you in jail for, Mr. Bowen?
She alleged that I lived with her for a short period of time, and I was $50 short of paying half of her rent. She told me her new boyfriend doesn't like me. I had to leave because she had a doctor's appointment. I climbed back through my bedroom window. She came home and called the police, and her and my sister made up a story that we stole a bunch of stuff, which is not true, and I went to jail.
Just a minute. What did you go back to jail for recently in March?
That was to serve the last 4 days of the sentence for climbing through her window.
Were you the complainant on that case?
Yes, I was. He broke into my home.
I was living there at
Which
the
is
time.
just one of many things that have happened.
Why do you think that you would be entitled to $1,500?
Because that new contract was signed after constant badgering. He was calling my work, and every time that I would hang up on him, and he'd call back, he would hang up on my boss. My job was at risk. My boss said, this has got to stop.
That's not true.
And, it was creating a problem for me. He was calling my house. I'd get 7 phone calls,
child,
5 are hang-ups.
He's your child. He's your child.
Yeah.
And if you bought him a car for $120, and that's what all this fuss is about.
He's my child who's broken into my home, who's stolen money from me.
I don't understand it. Do you have drugs delivered to your house?
No, I did not. And I have a couple statements here. He wrote a statement first and says that the person I'm in this battle with, first he writes a statement and says that this person, Richard, is coercing him to write a statement in lieu of furniture. And he comes to me and tells me that, and I said, well, then maybe you should write that down. So he did, and I have that with me. Then he goes to Richard, the other person, and writes the statement. A couple days later, he's got furniture. Then he comes back and writes another statement and says, well, that was not true, and I recant all that, which I have also.
Sounds like you shouldn't get your child involved in your own domestic court situations, especially when the child is an adult child and doesn't have anything to do with the custody battle that you're currently involved in. Neither you or his stepfather should do that. In any event,
Right.
You got your money, you got your car. Goodbye, good luck, be well.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Happy life.
He's a drug addict.
I can't believe that someone that was supposed to be my mother would actually sit here and do this and say things like this.
Enough is enough.
17-year-old Anthony Nelson and his stepfather, 35-year-old pipefitter Scott Foster, are suing Anthony's former friend, 15-year-old James Burgess, and his mother, 41-year-old waitress Kim Winters. Anthony claims James took his quad runner without permission and flipped it.
What's your first name?
Anthony Nelson.
Well, that's your first and your second name. But it goes together. Anthony?
Yes, ma'am.
Anthony, you have some sort of a bike. What sort of bike is it?
It's a four-wheeler.
What's a four-wheeler?
It's a quad cab. It's like a motorcycle, but it's got four wheels.
When did you get that?
Early in January, or late January.
Do you ride it?
Yes, ma'am.
How did I know that? Did you ever have one as a child?
I had motorcycles. They didn't have them back then.
But as soon as you saw it, you had to have it.
Oh, yes.
For your son. Right? You understand that?
Yeah.
All right. Just
Guy.
I don't know if I'm disturbing you.
It's a guy. Oh, no. Three-letter word for insect.
Gotcha. According to your complaint, Anthony, the defendant, this young man, was with you one day, and you were with some other people who also had fathers who wanted these four-wheelers, who bought them for their children. And the defendant, without your permission, got on the bike, rode it, had an accident with it, and damaged it. You want him to pay, or his mother to pay. That's what this case is about.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not exactly sure what your defense is. That he gave you permission to ride it, and the cost of fixing it was too much, but I'll get to it in a second. How many boys were you out riding with?
There was four of us all together, ma'am.
How many boys had bikes?
The defendant had a motorcycle, and the rest of us had four-wheelers.
So tell me what happened.
We got out of school early, and a couple of my friends and me, we wanted to go for a ride. Seemed like a nice day. We were out riding for a couple hours, and we decided to go take a break.
Was James with you at the time?
Yes, ma'am. He was one of us that was riding with us. We went back to Michael's house, my friend, to take a break. We were in his driveway talking, and the defendant got on my four-wheeler and took off in reverse without asking my permission to get on it. And we ran out after him, but he was already too far out, and you couldn't hear us because of the motor. And by then, he hit the back brake and locked up the axle and flipped the four-wheeler over. We ran out to see if he was all right. We picked the four-wheeler up, looked over it. We talked about it a little bit. He said, all right, I'll pay for the damages, and we'll go and call RTD, that's the dealership. We'll call RTD and see how much it is, and we'll handle it from there.
What parts were damaged?
The plastic was all scratched up. The front steering column was bent. The whole brake assembly was ruined. We had to replace that. It wasn't rideable. You couldn't ride it.
So you got an estimate?
Yes, ma'am.
From the place where you would purchase the bike?
Yes.
Can I see the estimate, please?
Here's a letter stating that it was in brand new condition. Here's the repair order, and here's what I actually bought so that we could continue to ride it.
The entire cost of repairing the bike is $918?
Yes, ma'am.
What's $1,027.11?
That was for my time off of work. I took a day off, or half day off when I figured we were going to court, and my labor's a lot cheaper than theirs.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear you.
Ma'am, I did have permission to ride the four-wheeler. We were all sitting in the driveway. We were standing talking around. Mike just got back from riding it. Mike took it down the road, come back. I go, Anthony, can I ride it? He goes, hold on 1 minute, let it cool down. A few minutes later, I asked him. He said yes. I was backing down the driveway. I hit the rear brake, and the four-wheeler came back. I jumped to the side of the four-wheeler.
You damaged the bike, right?
Yes.
So why shouldn't you pay for it?
I feel it was equal responsibility on both parts.
Why is that?
I've had people blow my stuff up. I got a YZ 125 in '96, and I've had people blow it up, and I've always replaced everything anybody else.
Then you're a good guy. But if you borrow somebody's car and you wreck it, and unless there's insurance that covers it, it's your responsibility.
Yes.
The fact that he said that you could drive it doesn't relieve you of that responsibility. You want to say something?
Yes. The main reason we're here is from the discrepancy in what was supposed to be wrong with the four-wheeler. They went to my house, they called RTD, said it was just the clutch lever or brake lever, and it was $87.
They called and said, this looks like it's wrong with the bike, right?
Yes.
And they said, well, if that's all that's wrong with the bike, and it's $87.
Yes.
But clearly when they took the bike down there...
Can I say one more thing?
Sure, there turned out to be a lot more damage to the bike.
He came to my house, the father and the son came to my house a few weeks afterwards with an estimate of $400 and some. And he said, your son did this, will you pay it? And I said, what happened to the $87? And he got mad, upset, and I said, no, I won't pay the $400 and whatever dollars it was. So he went to go out of my driveway. He threatened my son.
He threatened to beat my, or his exact words, he goes, your ass is beat.
He threatened my son, and
that's not
good. At that time, it was $400, $400 and some odd dollars.
Did you ever give them an estimate of $400 some odd?
No, I did not, ma'am. I walked to her door to ask her to pay this damages, and her exact words. Sorry.
That's
A little upset.
that's not what I'm asking you. She said that you showed her a bill at one point for $400.
No, ma'am. She wouldn't even look at it. That's the actual estimate I gave her. She wouldn't even look at it.
Well, this is dated March the 2nd, which
Correct.
is shortly after the accident.
Correct.
He must have went and got that after he left my house. What he brought to my house was $400 and some.
What date did he come to your house?
You know what date it was?
I'm not exactly sure what date he come to my house, but all the kids at school knew it was $427. And then we got the statement in the mail that was that $900. It's like $1,027.
Okay. Has the bike been fixed?
I fixed the steering part so that we could ride it.
And how much did you spend on the steering?
You have the paperwork
Is that
up
the
there?
second bill?
Yes, ma'am.
$219?
Yes, I believe that's what it was.
All right. And the rest of it has not been done?
No, ma'am.
That's very, very easy. I'm entering an initial order of $219.73. And what you folks will do, since you all live in the same neighborhood, is we'll pick a date. You all go down to RTD Motorsports and satisfy yourself what the bill is. I will enter a maximum order in the amount of $918 to be held until the both of you go down and satisfy yourself what the bill is. Do you understand? Does that sound fair to you? I mean, no, it doesn't sound fair to you. He says he had permission. It's his responsibility. He wrecked the bike. And if he wants to be a good guy and take care of it when other people wreck his bikes, that's up to you. You wreck this one, it's your responsibility. The only difference is the cost of repair. And I don't think that you can exaggerate the cost of repair. You actually spent $219, that you get. Then 5 days from today, you boys make arrangements with your parents, if necessary, to go down to RTD Motors, see what it's going to cost to fix the bike for a maximum of total $918. And then the court will enter judgment in that amount. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Does that sound reasonable to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Court will draft the order. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I don't believe I said that. I think I said maybe Anthony take care of him later. Yeah, I was upset.
I've had accidents. I've done it on my own four-wheeler, and my cost was never that expensive.
I'm just glad we could finally get it over with so we can go back to go riding.
38-year-old law clerk Cornell Jackson is suing his ex-girlfriend, 24-year-old nursing assistant Tamika Woodland, for throwing a brick at his windshield.
Order. All rise. Okay. Yeah, this is case number 586 on the calendar in the matter of Jackson versus Woodland. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. Jackson, the defendant is a former girlfriend of yours. According to your complaint, she had a hissy fit one day and smashed your car with a brick.
Yes.
You want her to repair the damage she did to the car.
Yes, Your Honor.
There doesn't seem to be an issue, Miss Woodland, that you did, in fact, have Sid hissy fit and throw a brick at his car. You're going to tell me why in a minute. Your defense is that you paid for the damage.
Yes, I did.
Okay. When did this happen?
One day I was at the house, Your Honor.
Give me the date.
3/28/2001.
Okay. Go ahead.
I was sitting at the house, Your Honor, and I heard banging and knocking on my door. You know, I looked outside, I didn't see anybody. Then I got a phone call from my neighbor upstairs, and he told me someone was downstairs banging and knocking on my door, so I looked out again, and it was Miss Woodland outside. And I didn't want to let her in because, I mean, she was knocking kind of violently, so.
Had you stopped seeing her at that point?
Yeah, I hadn't seen her for a while.
That's
How long is a while?
A long while.
That's a lie. That's a lie.
Don't. I'm going to get to you.
Okay.
Okay, so she's downstairs banging at your door. You didn't want to come out. What happened next?
I didn't open the door. I told my neighbor upstairs, I'm like, man, look out for my car, because I know her. You know, she'll do something to my car. She's done stuff before in the past, and, you know, damage to my vehicle.
So, come on. Let's speed it up. We've got other things to do today.
Okay.
Come. Come on.
And so I didn't let her in.
I know you didn't let her in. Now let's get to the car. She's banging. She says, I want to come in. And you don't let her in.
Miss Woodland left out the driveway and pulled in front of the house next door.
No.
She got out the car. She picked up a brick, and she smashed my windshield.
Okay. Now, Miss Woodland, you don't deny that you did that.
No, I don't deny that, no.
Okay, tell me why you did it. I'm just curious.
Okay, because Cornell had called me at my job earlier that part of the day. He had called me up there. He wanted me to meet him at his house because we were casually dating. We were still sleeping around with each other. So he called me over there.
More information than I need.
Okay. Well, he called me over there to his house because I was supposed to meet him over there. He told me he'll be there around 6:30. So I thought I'd get there a little bit early and got there around 6:15. I came to the front, I started knocking on the door, the window. He never answered, so I went around to the side and rang the doorbell and started knocking. He did come to the door and ask me who it was. And I told him, it's me, you know. He got smart. He had cursed at me through the door. So I got mad because I figured, okay, he must got somebody up in there. So what I did was I walked out the driveway and picked up a brick. When I came back in there, I threw it at his windshield and I cracked his windshield. The next day, I got in contact with Mr. Jackson over the phone. Mr. Jackson told me he did not want to see me anymore, that it was over, that I had to pay for my damages. I told him that, okay, I know what I did was wrong. I will pay you for it. I ended up giving him $350 in cash in Cornell's hand. I didn't think it wasn't no big deal after that, because after that, we ended up seeing each other again. I came over there again, seeing him.
Did she give you $350, sir?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay. I did give you money, Cornell.
The only money Miss Woodland gave me was for prior damages that she had did to my car before this, way before this.
Okay. When did she give you that money?
That was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when she did the damage to my other car.
But she gave you money.
So this is not the first time this has happened, Your Honor.
So she did give you money for that damage.
Right.
But she didn't give you money for this
She
damage.
didn't give me any money for the damage to this vehicle.
Okay,
no.
why wouldn't I give you money if we didn't have a problem with any other time, Cornell? Giving you money. I mean, why would I just sit up there and not give you money for this car? That's crazy.
I want to explain something carefully to you. I control my space. This is all my space. When I tell you to stop talking, you stop talking, and you don't speak to him. You only speak to me. Do we understand each other?
That's understandable.
Do you have any proof that you withdrew from a bank $350?
No, because I gave it to him in his hand. I gave Cornell cash in his hand.
Why don't you pay attention to my question? Do you have
no,
any
I do not
proof
have any proof
that you withdrew $350 from your bank?
No.
Okay, very good. Let me see the estimate for the damage to the car.
Your Honor, I have 3 estimates.
Have any photographs of the car?
Yes.
I see it, please. Next time, Mr. Jackson, you pick a girlfriend, I suggest you pick a girlfriend who, when she gets angry, goes home and sulks. You understand?
Yes, I do.
Okay. The cheapest estimate that you have looks like, what, $785?
Well, there's also scratches in the paint job, too, Your Honor.
Uh-huh.
Your Honor, I never did that.
What?
I never did that. All I did was crack the windshield.
No, you didn't do it. The brick did it.
Yeah,
no,
well,
I never
listen,
did.
Listen
anyway,
to me,
I never
Miss
did
Woodland.
that.
Miss Woodland, pay careful attention. Did the brick go inside the car when you threw it?
No, it did not. It fell off on the side.
Just answer my question.
No, it fell off on the side.
Before it fell off onto the side, it hit the car. So there are 2 estimates here. One's for the paint and one is for the windshield. Is that right?
Exactly.
Miss Woodland?
Yes.
A, I don't have any proof that you actually paid him any money for this car. You should have brought proof that you went to your bank, withdrew $350 in cash.
Okay,
had
but
to
I
give
didn't
it to
think it was going to be any problem. I didn't think it was going to be any problem.
Well, there is a problem. There is a problem. You can't have a hissy fit on somebody else's property. If you're angry at something, you go home and you sulk. Go out, you know, have a margarita. But what you don't do is take out your anger and frustration on somebody else's property, and you seem to have a penchant for doing that because you did it a couple of years ago. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $785.92. Thank you.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
We were still seeing each other, and he ended up lying.
I'm here to represent all men that had a woman damage their stuff.
Probably another woman damaged it.
Take them to court.
26-year-old store manager Rick Little is suing his ex-fiancée, 21-year-old waitress Tanisa Deinhardt, for the down payment on a car and for the return of an engagement ring.
Mr. Little, Ms. Deinhardt is your former girlfriend.
Correct.
According to your complaint, not only your girlfriend, but your fiancée. You broke up. You want a ring back that you gave to her that you say is an engagement ring. And in addition, while you were together, you purchased a car together, according to you.
Correct.
While Ms. Deinhardt has the car in her possession, and it was primarily for her use, she made the monthly payments. You claim that you put down half of the down payment. And
Correct.
you have no objection to her keeping the car, but you want the down payment that you put down on the car.
Yes.
Right? Defendant said it was always her car. You never put any money into the car, and that the ring was never an engagement ring, but a gift. And aside from that, it was stolen. All right. Did you ever live together?
Yes, we did.
When?
For about 2 months, February, March. We didn't live together that long.
And when was the car purchased?
It was purchased in February.
While you were living together?
Yes.
Tell me about it.
I believe so. I might be a little off when we were living together, the exact dates.
Did you have your own car at the time?
Yes, I did.
So this car was being purchased for the defendant?
No, we were set to be married. I have a summer car, a car that I cannot use all season long. So it was purchased for us to both use. We didn't intend at first, before the purchase, for it to be that way. She wanted to get a nicer car than what we intended to get in the beginning. So
I'm not following you, Mr. Little. I mean, you're not being clear. You're
okay,
trying to
in the very beginning,
you're trying to tailor your answers to your position, and I suggest to you that why don't you just tell me the flat-out truth,
okay.
and then it'll be easier. You won't get as confused, sir.
Okay.
You had a car.
Yes.
Did the defendant have a car?
Yes, but hers, it broke down.
So she didn't have a car.
Correct.
You know, it's getting easier?
Yeah.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rick Little says ex-fiancée Tanisa Deinhardt owes for the down payment on a car and for the return of an engagement ring. Tanisa says Rick and his friends stole the ring from her bag.
Tell me what happened at the dealership.
Well, she picked out a car that was more than what we anticipated, so I had to help out with it.
Tell me about how you helped out.
I gave her $1,500.
You gave it to her in check form?
No, I didn't.
You didn't?
No, I did not.
Where did you get the $1,500 from?
I got the money from my parents.
Did they ask you what it was for?
Not really. My dad never questions me when I need anything from him, no.
So it was a gift from your parents?
Correct.
When you gave it to her, can you tell me about the discussion?
Yes, I made it clear that it was more...
No, I want you to tell me what you said to her, not what you made clear. I want you to tell me what you said.
I said that this is more car than we could afford, and that I will put down half the money and the loan. We did the loan in both our names, but she is to make the monthly payments on it, and I would take care of other expenses.
Now, we're in the month of February, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you drive this car during the winter time?
Yes, I did.
How often did you drive it?
Probably...
Never.
Definitely not never. Probably once a week, I would say.
So maybe
when she moved out, she primarily used it.
When did she move out?
March. I don't know the exact date she moved
so
out.
you drove the car maybe 8 times?
Probably, yes.
Now let's get to this ring.
Okay.
When did you give her the ring?
I gave her the ring in February 2001.
When she moved in?
Yes.
Tell me about the ring.
It had 3 little diamonds on the side of it and one big diamond in the middle, and it was a white gold ring.
And what did you say to the defendant when you gave her the ring?
I asked her to marry me.
And what did she say?
She said yes.
And what happened to the ring?
Well, when she moved out, we still were trying to work it out. I mean, it was not going good. And at first, I know she had it for a while, and then as it started things getting rockier with us, it started disappearing She started saying it was lost, and then she wouldn't give it back to me, and she had about, 5 different stories of what's going on with the ring, which I started realizing she's going to keep it no matter what. Break up or not, she's going to keep it.
You asked her for it.
Correct.
All right, Miss Steinhardt, now it's your turn. Who put the money down on the car?
I did.
From where?
I had a tax return that same month that I got for it. The tax return was $2,700, and I have proof of that if you'd like to see it.
I would. You put the refund in the bank, is that right?
No, when I got my check, I just did I electronically filed, and I picked up the check, and I cashed it. And we went down to the car dealership a few days later, and I just used cash. But I do have a receipt from that
She
for
didn't have that much
$3,000.
cash, I can tell you that much.
I did.
Okay. Now I want you to listen to me very carefully. Did Mr. Little give you any cash towards the purchase of the car?
None. None at all.
You don't remember me giving you money?
Don't speak.
$1,500?
Don't speak to her. If you did, it really doesn't make any difference, Mr. Little. I find that it wasn't a loan. This was not a loan, sir. You were planning on getting married. She needed a car. According to you, if I believe you, you called Mama and said, Mama, I need money, and your parents always help you out, so they gave you $1,500. You gave her $1,500 to buy the car.
Mm-hmm.
So what?
And
That's not a loan.
Well,
That's not a loan.
I made sure my name was on everything.
So?
Just
That's why I always tell people, unless you're married, don't buy things in joint names. You don't expect me to get involved in valuation of this car. It was never intended to be your car. It was always intended to be her car. She can't sell it without you. I mean, the smartest thing that you can do with regard to this car is to ask her very nicely to take your name off the title of the car so that in case she gets into an accident, you won't be held responsible. That would be the smartest thing you could do. So forget the car. But now let's get back to this ring. Did Mr. Little describe the ring accurately?
Yeah.
So it was a diamond ring?
Yes.
That people would assume is an engagement ring?
Yes.
So where is it?
I don't have it.
That's not what I asked you. I said, where is it?
We went on a trip. We went to Seattle together, and
When?
It was the summer of 2001. We were kind of rocky then still, and on the way over there, I called him on my cell phone, and he said, do you have your ring on? And I said, yes. He said, take it off. And I said, why? He said, because I told all my football friends that we weren't together anymore, and I don't want it to look like we're together anymore. His friends wanted me to look available because they all liked me. So, I know.
That's not anything I said.
So, I get to his house. I didn't have anywhere to put the ring. I get to his house, and I put my ring inside my makeup bag. Picked him up. A couple of his friends, their car broke down. They rode with us the rest of the way. I didn't even check on the ring until I got back and noticed that it was missing out of my case. He called me. The trip didn't go well. We didn't get along at all after his statement that he made to me. And he called me about a week later and
Why
said,
did you go at all?
I wanted to work it out.
Go ahead.
He called me about a week later and said, do you have the ring? And I said, no, I noticed it missing the day that I got back. And he said, well, where is it? And I said, well, I don't have it. I assumed that he took it because he's done that before. He's taken the ring away from me, given it back. He takes it away whenever we get in a fight. He just kind of uses it against me. I just assumed that he had taken it out of my jewelry bag because I didn't think anybody else would have stolen it. Then he comes back and said, I saw one of my friend's girlfriends with the ring on her finger. And I said, well, I told you it was either you or your friends that stole it. I don't have it, you know. And he said, well, I know it's her. And he asked me, I got my pictures taken and I had the ring in the picture. And he said, well, can you bring me a picture with the ring on so that I can compare it to the one that she was wearing? I brought that to him, and then I never heard anything.
That's a really interesting story for you to have made up. Did you ever have a conversation with her, Mr. Little, that you think you saw one of your friend's girlfriends wearing a ring that looked like hers?
No.
You never had a conversation like that with her?
No, I didn't. She at one point had me actually believing that
that's not what I asked you. Did you ever ask her for a picture of herself wearing the ring so that you could compare it?
I've always had pictures of her with the ring and everything.
So you never asked her for
No.
that? She has a really lively imagination.
No. She knows I have a picture with
She
her
has a
with the ring,
really
so she's-
lively imagination. When you went on this trip in August, did you in fact ask her to take the ring off?
No. She just would not wear it around me, maybe for fear that I might take it or whatever, because we weren't getting along that great.
Oh, that wouldn't be a fear that you had unless you had taken the ring before. Had you ever taken this ring back from her before?
We have been in, I've never physically taken it, no. That thing's been on her finger. We have been in fights bad enough where I have asked for the ring. Yes, when I've...
And have you taken it back?
No,
Has she given it to you?
never took it back from her.
Now, you ultimately broke up in August.
Yes.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So can you tell me why you didn't ask for the ring back in August?
I've asked for it back many times. In August, I probably did too. I just knew there was a point after a few months past March that she just wasn't going to give it back no matter what. We weren't.
Do you live in the same town?
Yes, we do.
Have you seen her wearing the ring since August?
Since August, have I seen her? I haven't seen her really much at all since August.
Well, you have mutual acquaintances. Did any of your acquaintances see her wearing the ring and report that to you?
Yes, they did, as a matter of fact.
Really?
But I don't know if they can prove it.
No, I'm just asking
the
you.
ring that I bought.
They reported to you that she was wearing a diamond ring. Is that right?
Yes.
Mr. Little, I don't believe a word that you say. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
All is our excuse. You may step out.
That didn't go too well.
Turned out the way it should. He was a liar, and she didn't believe him.
I paid for everything that she had.
He's just greedy.
It was all my money.
We just didn't get along. It just wasn't working.
Do things that you can document better.
Don't even talk to him. Just walk on by.
64-year-old Sherry Gregory is suing her former tenants, 19-year-old student Joel Termott and his roommate, 20-year-old Chris Bilsbach, for damages to her property. Chris is countersuing, claiming Sherry's negligence led to his car catching on fire.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 123 on the calendar in the matter of Gregory versus Bilsbach Termott. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Miss Gregory, according to your complaint, you owned some real estate that was rental property. You rented it to the two defendants and claimed that during the course of their tenancy, they trashed your property. They say they did nothing to your property but normal wear and tear, that they had some parties there that you were aware of, and they are counterclaiming. They say that during a snowstorm, you failed to plow the driveway, which caused their car to catch on fire. When did this lease begin?
The 1st of August in 2000.
How long was the lease?
It was a month-to-month affair because this is a property that I was trying to sell.
So you didn't have a written lease?
Yes, I do have a written lease.
Can I see it, please? Okay, so they rented the property on August 1st. When did you first see any damage to the property?
Well, I was getting complaints from neighbors. So
what was the date?
Probably in October. It became obvious that they were having parties there and so forth.
Okay, when was the next time you were alerted that there may be any problem with the property?
Well, as the snow left and I could see that the land was fairly well destroyed all around the place from four-wheeling and so forth, but the final blow, I guess, came when the neighbors were complaining to the point where they were telling me I had to get rid of them. And that's when I went out in the first part of April, you know, discovered the...
I see some pictures there.
Yes.
So let me see the photographs.
Now, I should have sorted through. They're not all wonderful.
Is this a trailer?
It's a mobile home that has been built onto, and it's about 2,000 square foot.
Were these holes in the wall or anything else there when you rented it to them?
No, we were having some leakage with the roof, and they said that they could take care of that if I would buy the materials, which I did, and I have my receipts for that.
What I'm asking you, madam, is I'm going to show you some pictures. What I'd like you to do is take a look at these photographs and tell me whether this is the way the property looked when you rented it to them.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
No.
Would you show this to these two people? What is that?
That's a wall that's falling down.
No, it isn't. It's not a wall that's falling down. You want to explain that to me?
There were holes in the wall that were caused by parties that we had out there.
Okay, period. Good.
That's our refrigerator, Your Honor.
Is that the way it was when you got it?
That was our refrigerator when we moved in.
Oh, good. So I don't have to look at the refrigerator. Perfect. They bought the refrigerator, right? Madam?
That doesn't ring a bell with me.
Well, if it doesn't ring a bell with you, they say that they bought the refrigerator. I trust that they bought the refrigerator.
There were 2 refrigerators there. I'm sorry.
Same party?
Yes.
You got some nerve. What's wrong with you? Huh? What is wrong with you?
Well, in the beginning, when we rented the property, Sherry told us our deposit wasn't for the trailer. She didn't care about the trailer. She said, trash it or fix it. Those were her exact words. She don't care. Trash it or fix it. It's up to you. We fixed it in the first place. The roof got so bad. The house was totally unlivable. There was no hot water, no furnace.
So move. So
That's what we
move.
did.
You weren't being held a prisoner.
Also, before we
You just, I'm not finished with you. If the trailer is not habitable because there's no heat, no hot water, you have the ability to get out of this lease, right?
Correct.
You don't do this to somebody else's property. Nobody says trash it. Nobody normal. She's not abnormal.
Those were her words. Trash it or fix it.
Bull. Not common sense, unless somebody
No,
is
it's
on
not.
heavy doses of something. And if you live in a place, and assuming that she was having a mental lapse and said that to you, you still don't do this.
Your
So you
Honor,
have to pay for all the damage.
Maybe half the reason why she didn't care that we trashed it is she told me once that she had that trailer insured at over $30,000. It'd make a nice insurance claim. And that trailer is appraised at a little over $3,000 for the whole trailer. The roof damage well exceeds the $3,000 to have that roof repaired. So basically, the trailer's worth nothing. And
Why
she
didn't you
hasn't
just live
insured-
there peacefully? I mean, what joy does somebody get in causing this kind of damage? What joy?
Teenage kids.
When we moved in,
If
Your
you're,
Honor,
just a second. Did you move from your family's house into this property?
yes, Your Honor.
Did you do this to your parents' house?
No, Your Honor.
Then you know better. It's not as if you weren't housebroken. You were, in fact, housebroken.
When we moved in, Your Honor, the previous tenant had been convicted of trafficking meth, and the FBI had just done a raid on that exact trailer when we moved in. The place was completely unlivable. We spent over 40 hours fixing it up. We
And what did you have to do?
We had to pick up heroin needles.
Motorcycles in our living room, our kitchen.
What did you do
About
with
10
them?
of them.
What did you do with them?
We had the salvage yard come pick them up.
Did you sell them to the salvage yard?
No.
You just gave them away?
Yes.
They were not worth anything. They were torn into parts.
Sherry told us
to get rid of them.
Yeah, she told us that it was our responsibility to clean up the trailer. In the lease it
So
says...
it says that you clean up the trailer. She's selling it as is. So far, I don't hear about anything like this.
Well,
I
when
heard you
we
got
moved
rid of a
in-
lot of junk inside.
The roof was always leaking when we moved in, and we never said it was no problem that we could fix it because the roof was in bad condition when we moved in. She had already had a professional contractor come out there and do the exact same thing that she bought us materials for, and the roof still was leaking, and there was no way we could get it repaired
Why would you fix the roof and do this to the walls?
because the roof was completely collapsing. When we first moved in, we tried as hard as we could to put up the roofing materials, but it didn't stop it. And that whole, there's 3 sections of the trailer. That third
if
section...
you notice that I didn't show you any pictures of the collapsing where there looks like there were leaks coming in. She's got them here. I didn't show you those. Because if you were renting a place and had a leaky roof, I don't hold you responsible for that at all. This I hold you responsible for. This doesn't come from a leaky roof.
Former tenants Joel Termott and Chris Bilsbach trashed her property. Joel and Chris say Sherry is a con artist.
According to you, you were just following instructions, right?
Not necessarily following instructions, but knowing in the... You put 3 kids under the age of 19 in a house on a farm. You know what they're going to do, and you tell them they can trash it or fix it.
When we moved out
As a
there,
landlord, would any landlord do that and not expect this to happen?
when we moved out there, we told her,
May I please see the estimates of your damage?
Your Honor, I have one statement here from the insurance company, which has paid a portion of that, okay?
I want to see the estimates of the damage that were not paid by your insurance.
That's this document.
Let me see what she's got for me. No, listen. First of all, strike out roof leaks, water damage. That was a problem that existed before they moved in, and it's your responsibility to take care of it. Carpet throughout. I can't tell what damage they caused and what damage your previous tenant caused, because it seems to me that you did not examine that property before they moved in.
I did.
No, because I believe them when they said that they found needles in there, motorcycle parts in the trailer, and all that other kind of stuff that you told them to get rid of. Because in your lease it says that they take the property exactly as it's turned over to them. And I believe them because they were at least honest enough to say to me, I caused this, it was parties. And that's what happens when you rent to teenagers. I mean, that's pretty honest and damning. So I believe that there was a lot of junk in that place when they moved in. So how do I know when the damage was done to the carpet?
The carpet thing, the main carpet damage that I was talking about there was just where the roof had leaked and maybe...
Oh, strike that. That's your responsibility.
I'm not talking about carpet throughout.
Outside debris cleanup. Do you have a bill for that?
I've got a man out there working now. It's just way too short a time to get a total estimate on it. And with the grass growing tall...
I can't help you unless I have a bill. This is you.
Right.
I need bills.
Your Honor, could I add one thing?
Yes.
She claims that she gave us our eviction notice on the 1st of April. We received our eviction notice on the 20th of April, which she had dated the 1st. So
Okay.
we'd only have 10 days, 11 days to get out, which was a totally false statement on the eviction notice. We were out within the week, within 7 days. We came out there within the last day, before the end of the month, and there was someone already living out there, cleaning up, doing work out there, re-drywalling, stuff like that. This is all stuff that I'm sure she's not paying him. I'm sure he's living there, he's fixing it up. She's telling him the same exact thing that she told us when we moved in there.
Just a minute.
Fix it.
Doesn't make what you did to the property right.
No.
Okay.
But she's got someone living there while we were still paying rent, where we were still supposed to be living there. She's got someone there just because she knew we were out.
Who's living there now?
The person he's talking about did not have permission to be there at that time. I didn't know that person was there. He was someone that was wanting to rent it because when I called and...
Is he still there?
2 different people.
Who's living there?
Mark.
When did Mark move in?
The 10th or 11th of May.
That's not correct, Your Honor. We went back before the 1st of May, and I went in my room to get some stuff that I still had there, and there was like 3 snakes and a bunch of hamsters living in my bedroom, and that was before the 1st of May.
All right. Interior debris cleanup. Yeah, you're going to pay for that, boys.
We came
But
back
I'm allocating $200 to clean it up. Now,
We had till the 1st. We went out there the 28th to clean up that weekend.
why didn't you clean up before you moved out?
We moved all our personal stuff out.
Why
We went
didn't
back
you
to
clean up before you moved out?
This is 7 days after we got the eviction notice. We were out. We went back to clean up on the 7th day. Someone else was already living there.
Okay. Approximately 3 acres. Seeding? You have a bill for that?
My farmer tenant out there will do that work. He has never presented me with his...
Then I can't help you, Miss Gregory. I need bills. How do I know whether it costs $3,000 to reseed 3 acres? How do I know that? All I know is that you can go and you can rent a spreader for $20, and for another $50, you can buy a whole bunch of seed. Is that right?
I'm not a farmer.
Your Honor.
Well, I know. I mean, I know a little bit about that, and if you want to, then you spread it. And you spread it, and grass grows. You have $3,000.
Your Honor.
Ms. Gregory, it's ridiculous. I mean, do you want me to dismiss this case without prejudice? Go and get bills?
Yeah.
Go and get estimates? I'm not going to do anything.
May I say?
Sure.
This is land that does not just need seeding, it needs completely smoothed out because of all the ruts and everything from four-wheeling and driving on areas that never should have been driven on.
Well, Miss Gregory, you have your choice, madam. Do you want me to dismiss your case without prejudice? You can refile it at some later point when you get the estimates for these things. Or do you want me to continue? If I continue, I have no idea what I'm going to come up with. So far, I got $200 because that's what it looks like it would cost anybody to spend 4 hours in cleaning up the mess that they left inside. That's it. What do you want to do? You need proof when you come to court. This is not proof. A prepared statement is not proof of damage.
Well, I asked for this from both the tenant farmer that will do the work on the land and from the guy that is doing the repairs on the house. And he didn't submit that to me. He said, Sherry, the minimum it's going to take on that roof and the water damage part is $2,500.
We didn't cause the roof and water damage, Your Honor.
I struck out the water damage because that was a problem before they moved in.
It was supposed to have been repaired by them. I bought them materials to take care of it.
That's your problem. Tenants don't do that. And if you rented the property to two teenagers and you tell them that the roof leaks, I'm going to buy you material and fix it, and if you have a real interest in your property, then what you do is you go back 3 weeks later and check your property and see if it's been done properly. What do you mean,
No, I mean, it's something
How much did you get from the insurance company?
Here,
Just tell me how much you got from the insurance company.
$12,329.31.
For, quiet. For all the damage.
For the things that they had listed.
Your Honor, I have a copy from the county assessor appraising the trailer that she got insurance money for.
She got $12,000 from the insurance company. She can take care of the property from that. I just finished plaintiff's case. Let's get to your nonsense. She didn't plow the driveway? Huh?
She told, we live in the middle of the country. The driveway has a very big incline.
Yeah.
Because of that, it's hard to get up when there's a big snow, and the fact that it drifts twice as high as much snowfall as you have.
So?
She told us, we were telling her we had problems getting up the driveway. She's like, well, I'll have the farmer or a neighbor come plow the driveway. Never seen it. Never came around.
No. She said have the farmer or the neighbor plow the driveway.
Yeah, someone that she knew that had a plow would come out and
No,
clean our
that's
driveway.
not what you just said. You just said to me, she said to you, have the farmer or the neighbor plow the driveway.
Yes, her as the landlord was going to take care of it. It was her
No,
responsibility.
did she say that?
Yes.
No. I don't believe she said that. She said have one of your neighbors take care of that.
No, she didn't tell us to have it done.
Really?
She said she was going to have it done.
When did she tell you that?
We don't know the farmer. We don't know the neighbors. The
Oh,
neighbors
they don't
are-
want to know you. I got
The
news for
neighbors
you.
she's talking about, she has sold part of this 80 acres too.
Okay. And when was the first time that you had a problem with snow?
We
Give me the date. First date you had a problem with snow.
Well, in Nebraska, it snows from November till
So the first problem you had was in November?
probably more like October.
So the first problem that you had was in October and you couldn't get your car out?
The thing is it wasn't the fact that I got it stuck, it was the fact I left it at the house and rode to work with him, or rode to school with him, because he had a four-wheel drive. I knew I wouldn't make it out.
Tell me whose car exploded.
That was mine, Your Honor.
Well, how did that happen?
Fire department says it caught on fire.
Don't tell me what the fire department says.
It caught on
That's
fire because
hearsay.
it got stuck
Where did it get stuck?
in the driveway.
Yes, and you tried to start it? I mean,
Sure.
it
was
didn't
running when I got stuck.
spontaneous combustion. It didn't just explode because it wasn't
No,
like
it caught on
sitting.
fire. The tires caught the engine on fire.
Yes, because you kept trying to move it. I assume you were trying to move it.
Well, as soon as it got stuck, yes, I tried getting out. I didn't try and get out for, 10 minutes. I tried to get out, 30 seconds. I knew I was stuck. I mean, it was buried. The car was completely not going anywhere. I turned it off, walked up to the house in -30-degree weather, went up to the house, and I couldn't see the car from the driveway. The car burned up. The fire department called me, said, your car's on fire.
Oh, okay. So what do you want from me? What do you want from her?
Well, it's a countersuit. She said, and as a landlord, she was going to take care of having the driveway plowed.
And if she didn't take care of
She
it,
told me
starting,
she was
listen,
gonna-
hey, listen to me carefully. When did your car catch on fire? What month?
December.
December. If she told you initially, and you say it starts to snow in October in Nebraska, that she was going to plow, and she didn't plow, you know what you do? Move! October, move November, move December. You're not a prisoner there. You don't like the leaks, you move. You don't like the heat, you move. You don't trash it. You don't blame her for anything. You get out. So, you got $12,000 from the insurance company? Good. You have no case because you have no proof of any additional damage. You have no case. Period. Driveway wasn't plowed? You don't want to get out a shovel and plow your car? You drive with him? He couldn't move his car? Move! Don't rent to teenagers anymore. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She told us we could trash it or fix it.
I knew boys that age were not going to be Betty Crockers, but I didn't say trash it.
And maybe she meant something else, but that's what she told us.
The boy before them had, you know, not too good a housekeeping habits either, but they didn't destroy the place.
I just find it funny that you already got $12,000 for a trailer that's only appraised at $3,000. She's
still trying to.
एक हरे भरे जंगल में सब जानवर खुशी से रहते थे। हर तरफ दरख्तों की सरसब्जी थी और सूरज की किरणें दरख्तों से गुजरकर नीचे आ रही थी। हाथी, हिरन, तोते और चीते खुशी खुशी खेल रहे थे। परिंदे आसमान में आजादाना अलिफारती हुए चमक रहे थे। जंगल का माहौल सुकून भरा था। फिर अचानक शेर का गिरोह जंगल में दाखिल हो गया। शेर बड़े गुस्से में आकर दहाड़ने लगे। सब जानवर खौफ के मारे दरख्तों और झाड़ियों में छुपने लगे। जंगल का पुरअमन माहौल एकदम खौफ में बदल गया। इसी दौरान एक अक्लमंद पुराना उल्लू दरख्त की एक ऊंची टहनी पर बैठा और सब जानवरों को इकट्ठा करने के लिए आवाज दी। सब जानवर इसके अर्द गिर्द जमा हो गए और इसे गौर से सुनने लगे। उल्लू ने कहा, हम सबको मिलकर अपने जंगल का तहफ़्फ़ुज़ करना होगा। हाथियों ने अपनी ताकत से रास्ते रोक दिए। चीते अपनी तेज दौड़ से शेर को परेशान करने लगे। तोते ऊंची उड़ान भरकर जंगल भर में खबरदार करते जा रहे थे। हिरन दरख्तों और झाड़ियों के पीछे छपकर शेर की नकलो हरकत पर नजर रखे हुए थे। शेर जानवरों की इस मजबूत और मुतहद हिकमत अमली से परेशान हो गए। आखिरकार वो शिकस्त खाकर जंगल छोड़कर भाग गए। सब जानवर खुश होकर एक दूसरे को गिले लगाने लगे और जश्न मनाने लगे। जंगल में अमन वापस आ चुका था। सब जानवर मिलकर खुशी मनाने लगे और एक दूसरे से अहद किया कि वो हमेशा अपने जंगल का तहफ़्फ़ुज़ करेंगे। वो जानते थे कि जब तक वो एक साथ होंगे, जंगल हमेशा महफूज रहेगा।